This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. Just like me.
Oh yeah, here we go. Back in the saddle again. I like my live shows. So much spicier. Calling all roasties. Is that what this is? This is a giant roastie. Today we're going to be talking about gynocentrism, really. But teaching women, and what are women teaching us, guys? So much better if you would just welcome your overlords. All right. Like that? Okay. Back up. Here we go. Thank you very much. Yes. Oh, yeah. Sooner or later. Actually, I have, let me kill that. I have another camera on order, and Ned is actually in the room today, too. Should put him in. Okay. Wow. Gosh, it's fun for me sometimes when I have a little bit of extra time for these shows. I can mingle with you guys in the chat room before we get started. So yeah, no, I'm not a pickup artist. Thank you very much. Fake Rollo in the house. Yay. Let's give him a little bit of appreciation. We're going to, let's say deplete some of his 80 plus accounts, I think is what it was. So let me get a little adjusted here. I think I'm finally starting to get the hang of the lighting in here. So yeah. What's that? This one better be good. You're interrupting me actually reading the rational mail. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Okay. Here, I'll quit and come back. No. Okay. So what the hell is with that thumbnail, Rollo? I've had that in my folder for a long time. I keep a folder full of potential art that I use for either thumbnails, or I'll use it for a blog post, or I'll put it on Instagram or something like that. And it's kind of, in another life, I used to be a photo editor as part of my job as a graphic designer / art director, and I think I'm pretty good at it. I like to say I'm pretty good at it. So. Anyways, no, I'm not a pickup artist. In case this is maybe this is your first time here. No, I'm not a pickup artist. No, I'm not a dating coach. No, I'm not a neurologist. No, I'm not a neuroscientist today. I'm not an endocrinologist. I'm not accept no legal advice on this show, because none of it is for real if I ever give you any. What is it? Financially, past performance is no indication of future performance. So there you go. Get all those disclaimers out of the way. We're going to take questions today too, by the way. I'm going to try to run today a little bit more like a real live stream so you guys can actually participate. So there you go. Thanks, man. Yeah, right back at you, brother. What else we got here? Digital. Thank you already coming in for Cappy Fun. Yes. Hey, did you guys hear what me and Cappy are going to do? He doesn't know this yet, but here's what we're going to do. I'm going to move to South Dakota, and we're going to start a show. We're going to start a variety show, and it's going to be called Stale and Fat. And we're going to get nothing but like 40-year-olds, like soccer moms and Karens in there, so that we can get them all around one big table. Maybe we'll have a big like picture window in the back of us, out overlooking the Black Hills or Black Mountain, whatever it is, in South Dakota, or Mount Rushmore. How about that? We could do that, and we'll call it Stale and Fat. Anyways, just an idea, just floating that one out there, Aaron. If you're looking, if you're looking for a variety show, I think it would go pretty big, to be honest with you. But maybe that's just me. Today's show is again brought to you by Mikaela Peterson. If you guys saw what'd you guys think of Wednesday's show? I thought Wednesday was pretty good. A lot of people think I was doing bait and switch, and I was actually. As far as the thumbnail was concerned, I think probably a lot of people saw the thumbnail because I kind of copped the template or the look from Jordan Peterson's website, or excuse me, his channel. And I have attempted in the past to actually get Jordan on this show. I haven't really talked to him direct, but I've put my feelers out there anyways, and it's not forthcoming. So let's just put it that way. So why doesn't Rollo have him on it so they can talk? That's why. Although maybe he's changing his tune now. I think like now that we are in 2021 and sort of the old school hype of Jordan Peterson is kind of like the newness of him is not as big a deal as I think it was when he was challenging gender pronouns in 2017 or 2018, I think. So yes, the thumbnails is intentional. It is disgusting, isn't it? But that's art, guys. That's art. You know how I knew that wouldn't get banned? Because that's feminist art. That's oddly on topic for today, because what are women teaching us, right? They're now our teachers. I talked about the fact. I talked about this on Rule 0, but I talked about the fact how today most men are sort of dropping out of academia. They're dropping out of school. It's what I think back in 2015. I think it was Milo Yiannopoulos when he was writing for Breitbart. He had an article called the Dropout Generation or something like that, and then Jordan Peterson picked up on that, and it was the Lost Boys generation. And here we are in 2021, and I think I'm not gonna say it's a new generation of guys, but I think it's probably the same plus a little bit more. I've covered this about a bazillion times, but the fact of the matter is that nobody trusts academia anymore. Nobody wants, like, especially if you go and you follow Aaron Clarey, be careful when you talk about like what major you're going to major in college, gentlemen. If it's not a STEM field, if it's not something that is going to contribute to your future financial success, it's probably not worth doing anyways. But I will take that one step further, because I think that a lot of guys, the reason why they're not in college right now, or it doesn't seem like a good sort of life plan anymore, is there's really nothing there for them. And it's no longer about an education. It's not even really so much about sort of training for a future career or anything like that, unless you're really motivated to get into I don't know, medicine, maybe law, I don't know, STEM careers, those kinds of things. And in those cases, would it not simply be better to just get into a trade? Right? Why not just simply go to a trade school? It seems like, you're not taking out student loans. And I've put this stat out there as well, is that 2/3 of all student loans in the United States are held by women right now, which accounts for like trillions of dollars. I'll dig that stat up if you really want me to. But the thing is now we have this generation of very, I would say, don't take this the wrong way, but overeducated women. And we have been that way. Really, it got started right around the mid-70s when women started when we started making special dispensation, and we started coming up with different kinds of grants and financial aid, and we really wanted to push women into different careers. And we look at what they actually choose, and they tend to be things more along the lines of, say, like like communication or psychology or anything that has to do with people primarily. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But if you look at the stats, and I wanted to sort of give you a preface here of what today's topic is going to be about. But if you look at the stats right now, women account for at least 65 and maybe even more than that right now. The last article I read was the dropout generation of guys. And one of the stats in there was the much higher enrollment stats of women right now in major universities. And then, of course, in integration into the American workplace, the 9-to-5s. This is what you're training for. Get into HR, get into, human resource, whatever, social, social work, I guess. That kind of stuff. Women tend to be interested in people. Men tend to be interested more in things and ideas. So, with that in mind, it's important to sort of see the direction that women go and the direction that men simply are opting out of right now. So when we talk about academia, and we talk about how it's a breeding ground for socialism or communism, whatever it is, you have to also remember that it is primarily dominated both by teachers who are female as well as the students who are also female. And I've mentioned this before. This is not my quote. People attribute this to me. This is not me talking. This is me actually quoting Camille Paglia, which is, our boys today are raised and taught and educated as if they are defective girls. I want to talk about that today because I got into it. I forget who it was, but somebody hit me up about someone who's unfamiliar with my work hit me up and asked me, what is gynocentrism? Why do you say that? It's clearly it's a man's world. Clearly we live in this tyrannical patriarchy. And I think maybe it was Ryan. I think somebody was responding to Ryan, and then I responded to them, and then we got into this back and forth. And primarily it was just the apex fallacy, right? Most of the time when women think that there is some sort of patriarchy or there's some sort of like endemic sexism, it's like the culture of, right? Remember, whenever you put culture behind a word or you attach that to something else, you make it endemic. So the presumption is that there's this, what is that? Old boys, backroom boys kind of thing. Like this is endemic culture of sexism that is holding the woman down. And, you still have the terminology of, like, say, the glass ceiling, right? Or the wage gap, which has been thoroughly debunked, at least for the last 10 or 12 years right now. But we constantly hear that every single time it's an election season, every single time when politicians want to, in some way, prove their loyalty or pledge their allegiance to certain special interests. And usually that's women. You guys have heard me talk about the sisterhood uber alles, which means the sisterhood above all else. Okay? Everything comes before the sisterhood comes before all considerations of ideology, ethnicity, religion, you name it. If you are in the sisterhood, if you are one of the possessors of a uterus, then therefore you are now part of that sisterhood. And we're going to get into that a little bit today. But as I said, today's show is courtesy of Mikaela Peterson once again. And I'm going to, this is very brief. Okay. I'm not going to, this is not a takedown video. Has nothing to do with that, but it will get the conversation started here as soon as I get to this. Thank you. Hi, Rollo, new sub here, dealing with LTR issues, arguments. She loves me, but probably got used to me. Is leaving her a good way to establish alpha frame rather than stay as a beta and try to fix things? Yes. If you have read my book, if you have, was Iron Rule of Tomassi number 7, when it's never worth rooting through garbage once you've taken the can out to the curb. Okay. What's problematic in your relationship, right? And since you gave me a very nice super chat, thank you very much for that. What's problematic in your relationship right now will continue to be a problem before or after. Now, whenever you are considering ejecting, nexting a girl, leaving a relationship, do so. Don't do it as some sort of ploy to get back with her or to make her appreciate you. Cut ties because that's what you want to do. Cut ties. I don't say ghost, but like ghost her if that's in the nicest way possible. If that's where you want to go, don't use that don't break up with her and go, okay, right about now, I'm going to call her back now that she's crying and upset. No, it's not punishment. It's pragmatism. There you go. What else? Is fake Rollo in still? No, I'm Damir from Croatia. I don't know. I can't do a Croatian accent. Sorry, my bad. You and all Rule Zero guys help me out to understand the world better and to be better men. Thank you. You are welcome in Croatia, my good friend. So let's get started here. This is from Mikaela Peterson's interview, once again, with Brett Weinstein. It is the gift that keeps on giving, and this is particular to what we're going to be talking about today. So let's jump in really quickly here.
What's suggested of a long history of non-monogamy?
When you look at species that are monogamous, if you look at gibbons, for example, you will find that males and females are the same size, right? That they are armed similarly. And the reason is because if the system has sexual conflict, if males are trying to exclude each other from mates, then they end up being favored in species like ours to be larger, right? Because size allows them to displace other males.
Larger and with greater weaponry, like in terms of muscle mass or bigger teeth, just the ability to fight with the weapons they've got.
So females are closer to the ecological optimum.
All right, that's where we're stopping, as you might guess. Females are closer to the ecological optimum. Keep that in your hat. Put that on your hat. Put that in your notes right now. Class is in session. If you've got your notebooks out, please. If you don't, please get them out now. But females are closer to the ecological optimum. Does that sound like a judgment call to you? Because it really sound like one to me. Yeah, I got the echo. Thank you very much. It's off now.
Of what the species should be, and then males are distorted.
What the hold on, you know what? We got to back that one up. That was too good. Back that up a little bit there. All right.
The ecological optimum of what the species should be, and then males are distorted by sexual competition. You
guys feel distorted? Do you think that men are in some way, let's say, mutants? Is that what we are? Males are they're ecologically suboptimal. Remember what I said last week? Yeah, week before last, when I was talking about the difference between empiricism and the believers, right? The difference between a judgment call, what should be versus what is. And this is a prime example of this. I watch this and I go, oh man, I wish I would have had this for the last time we were going through this. But that's what this is. This is not a what is. This is what ought to be. Whenever you hear that, whenever you hear philosophy or the red pill philosophy, right? Or you hear belief or ideology or what should be, that is a judgment call. That is now we're entering into the realm of ethics. Now was it logos and pathos? Ryan knows that better than I do. But now we're in the territory of what ought to be. And I don't think it's anybody. Certainly not Brett Weinstein. He's otherwise a very brilliant kind of, scientific method minded guy. But look who's sitting next to him, right?
Other species that compete in 3 dimensions, males can end up being smaller because agility in flight, for example, may be the mode of competition. But
and sometimes the competition may be about song or colorful plumage, or, it can look a lot of ways. But the males will tend to be in polygynous species, showier in some way. And
okay, that is the basis, I should say, of peacock theory. Here we go. Ready for your PUA education right now? Remember when they said peacocking? Remember when, what was it? Mystery? Eric von Markovich? and Big Fuzzy Boa literally had plumage, right? Had big fuzzy boas and a top hat and elevator boots. And remember the shirt that he had, black shirt with a little red LED light? You probably don't. I'm dating myself right now, right? Because that was like 2004, 2003. Mystery, PUA, whatever, that kind of stuff. Remember that? Your very worst, mental image of a PUA, right? Plumage, peacocking, right? Peacocking actually features pretty heavily in the new book that I'm writing right now. But that's what it is. And I'll explain the whole peacocking thing. But now, of course, they're trying to make a statement here about male competition for female reproductive access, really is what it boils down to. And the difference between polygyny, I've been saying that wrong, I guess, versus monogamy. So here we go. Keep going.
As Brett says, farther off, what would be the ecological optimum for the species if there were no sexual competition going on?
Right. Ecological optimum. Who gets to decide what's the ecological optimum in this situation? Because as far as feminists and gynocentrism has been concerned for the last 60, 65 years, it has been all based in the females get to decide what is correct and what is not correct. Now, do I think that should be the way it is? No, I don't. And I'm withholding judgment. See, that's how this works. However, right up until the sexual revolution and the advent of hormonal birth control, we had a patriarchy, or something that was a close approximation of a patriarchy. Now, granted, in some eras, it was a little bit more heavy-handed, let's say, than other eras. However, we had a somewhat monogamous culture, anyways, at least on paper, and we had patriarchy that was at least in some way beneficial. Because if it wasn't beneficial, we wouldn't be where we're at right now here in 2021. Where we basically handed over the keys to the castle to gynocentrism right around 1965. That's usually where I peg it. I realize that hormonal birth control was introduced in 1960, but look, I'm looking at the sexual revolution that came after that. So that's where I usually mark all of this kind of stuff. So there is that. Now, so where are we going with this, right? What's optimal ecologically? What's ecologically optimal? Men fighting each other, males of any species actually fighting each other. If that were the case, don't you think that there will be far less male on male violence, and I don't mean like species wide, not just human beings, but like, wouldn't there be less, let's say, mule deer in rutting season, literally locking horns? Don't you think that maybe that is the ecological ideal? Maybe it is something about that competition that actually spurs us to being something a little bit more. Nature, as I've said before, takes more chances with the males of a species. Usually, whoever has the most testosterone, and that's usually the males, takes chances with men far more. Men die quicker. We're more violent. We're more prone to anger. We're more, and this is on the human side of things, but just males in general. That tends to be that intersexual or intrasexual competition between rival males is usually something that is beneficial. Women tend to choose the guy who is the best fit. Now, whether or not we believe it should be this way or it shouldn't be this way. I mean, think about it this way. Like if you're on the side of the gazelle or the antelope or whatever it is that gets run down by a lion or a cheetah, what's the most ecologically optimal situation for that? See, this is the naturalistic fallacy, and I've talked about this on a few different occasions. But it's this idea that whatever is natural is either good or bad. Now, a lot of people will say that, it's the natural kind of thing. Like if you have like food that says non-GMO on it or something, this must be better for organically grown kind of stuff. It's the idea that something that is natural ought to be good, or it can be bad. In this case, we have Brett and his wife Heather here, who are talking, and last name no, she's not a Weinstein, put it that way, but she is married to him. Surname noted. However, when we look at this kind of stuff, it's like now we're looking at the opposite side of this. I usually, when I talk about the naturalistic fallacy, it's usually, I'm talking about like people say, it's good, right? What is it? Fruit flies can be homosexual, or there's homosexual penguins or something. So therefore it must be in nature. So therefore we must accept it as being the right thing to do. Non-GMO, right? Organic this. Let's all smoke dope. Let's all smoke weed because it grows out of the ground and it's good for us, right? God wants us to get high. But don't take heroin, but don't take fentanyl, don't take those things because that's man-made. That's wrong. That's bad. It's like, no, it's not either good or it's bad. In this case, he's trying to make the case that male competition, particularly in human beings, is deleterious. There's your vocabulary word, children, today. It is ecologically suboptimal. It's unwanted. And this is going to be, he's going to really blow your mind here in just a second.
So we are a sexually dimorphic species. We are not radically so, but we are somewhat so, which says there's been a lot of polygyny.
But we are less so than our closest relatives.
Right. Less so than our closest relatives, which means that recent evolution has reduced that dimorphism. We've been moving in the direction of monogamy. And more to the point, the recent history of our...
Okay. I think he makes kind of a tactical error here. Let me push this back a second.
Evolution has reduced that dimorphism. We've been moving in the direction...
Okay. Evolution has not reduced that dimorphism. Social conventions may have... environment, like social environments, actually natural environments may have moved us in that direction as a mating strategy. But as far as a biological dimorphism between men and women, it has not done jack shit to that.
Monogamy. And more to the point, the recent history of our species is one in which monogamous cultures have flourished and spread. And so most people alive on Earth today come from cultures that are monogamous. And so...
See, that's a cultural thing, Brett, not an evolutionary thing. As a cultural thing. Now, evolutionarily speaking, if we are promiscuous, if we are like in any way naturally polygynous, then monogamy is a buffer to that. It is in some way it's a check and a balance on it. And I do, and in that sense, if you're going to say, hey, culturally, mimetically, as you guys have known, I've been real big on mimetics lately. Mimetically, monogamy works. It's pragmatic, or it has worked for a while. It has worked really since the advent of agriculture, if you really want to go. But that doesn't change us. It doesn't change the machine. It changes the software, but it doesn't change the machine. And I'm going to talk a little bit about instinct, emotion, and reason here today, the triune mind theory, because a lot of people were asking questions about that. I'll get into that a little bit today. But when I look at things from sort of a pragmatic sense, and you guys can tell me if this, again, all this is open to discussion, but our body is the machine. We have our evolutionary firmware, which is sort of like our operating system. Men and women, we're human beings, and we live on a planet that has gravity and oxygen, and we need water, food, all the biological things that contribute to sort of our innate instinctual firmware. It's like your starting package is what you're born with, and that can change, or that those proclivities and that firmware differs between men and between women. That's why we are different. Okay. The software, of course, is what you've learned, and again, it's also that software is also dependent on your biology. It's also dependent on your genetics and everything else. Obviously, we talked about IQ when I was on with Aaron Clary. IQ definitely plays a huge role in this. I'm going to talk about the 4 laws of behavioral genetics today too. Big brain, sorry, but I think it's necessary today. So when I look at a human being, I'm looking at the machine, looking at the hardware, the firmware, and the software. So why are we monogamous in this sense? I would argue that we're monogamous because of the software, not because of the firmware, not because of the hardware, but because of the software. And that monogamy and that software is not necessarily changing or literally changing our evolution. It's not. Mimetics can in some ways, yes. So there's a sort of a symbiotic thing going between mimetics, but not to the point where if that's the case, we can also say that society and environment is now changing us back to a more polygynous ideal. As I mentioned before, women are the ones who are sharing alpha males because they no longer need beta males to cover the beta bucks, the beta buck side, this long-term security side of hypergamy. So when we give women that kind of political power, that kind of economic power, that kind of social power in a gynocentric social order, where do we go with that? How do we change that? Where do we go? When we remove the buffers that we had before under let's just say, beneficent patriarchy, ideally in an idealized patriarchy, when we remove the buffers that used to exist from social stigma and religious stigma and all of the other things that are cultural, when we remove all of that and we say, okay, ladies, your sexual strategy will be the defining sexual strategy for society from 1965 till whenever we decide the experiment's over. This is where we're at.
As much as our ancient history may involve some degree of polygyny, our modern evolutionary history points in the direction of monogamy. And
again, not evolution, perhaps mimetically. And yes, do couples and does monogamy in some way benefit human beings? Absolutely it does. But does that mean does it fit the definition of monogamy in the term? And again, I'm not making a case for polygyny here, just so you guys know that. I'm just saying that how he comes to this, it's, I think, in error.
From our perspective, we shouldn't really care what evolution wants for us. Evolution is not an honorable process.
There it is. That's where I wanted to start with today. Evolution is not an honorable process. Of course not. Because when you use terms like honor, Brett, you're making a judgment call. Now we've slipped over into the idea of belief. Is the cheetah that runs down the gazelle, is he evil or is he good? Is that honorable? Is it honorable for the cheetah to run down the gazelle? Well, kind of all depends on what your perspective is. Are you the cheetah or are you the gazelle? And in this case, we're using this, and I know people are going to run me up the flagpole for this because I'm not talking about ethics. I'm not talking about morality or any of that kind of stuff here today. I'm just saying, how does he come to this perspective? He's coming to it not from a scientific perspective, but from a moralistic perspective. And here we go. Today's salient point is that perspective has been colored by gynocentrism. When I listen to David Buss these days, and I listen to him talk about, incels and PUAs and MGTOWs and manosphere this, and I am, Dave, if you're watching, I'm reading your latest book right now, which is Why Men Behave Badly. And when I see, again, brilliant guy. I think Brett is a brilliant guy. I think Dr. Jordan Peterson's a brilliant guy, but they are the most frustrating sons of bitches I've ever encountered in my life because their conclusions, their dots that they connect are all colored by exactly what he's doing right here. I got my wife here, so she, I got to say the right thing. It's like the pastor going up to the pulpit on Valentine's Day and talking about how men and women ought to behave with one another. And here's, let me explain to you a few things, and I'll tell you all about love and everything else, and quote Corinthians or whatever. But I got my wife here sitting right next to me or standing right next to me so that there is an overseer in the locker room to make sure that she can nod her head and say, yeah, what he's saying is right, ladies. If you're speaking on behalf of God, I would say that whether he's the one that you ought to be worried about, not the wife, not the woman that's sitting next to you. But that's how it goes. And this is really kind of the secularized religion here. She's sitting there going, well, hold on, let's talk about this. And let me add this, and let me make sure that everybody agrees with him. Because if I'm not here to give you the female perspective, if I'm not here to give you that approval and nod in ascension, then it's just rollotomassi popping off about shit he doesn't know, right? So I wanted to point that out because the way he comes to what is the ecological optimum and where he comes from, like, evolution isn't honorable. Again, naturalistic fallacy. Of course, it's not honorable because you can't apply that to that particular mechanic. You're talking about, in this case, human evolution. But if we talk about like the evolutionary process with respect to the animal kingdom, or hell, even plants, right? Of course, it's not an honorable system. You can apply yourself to it and say, well, we're humans. We live outside of that. Yes, well, maybe that's true. I'll leave that up to your own judgment call. However, what they're suggesting right here is that we can rise above this. And that's exactly where you can make a case for monogamy and for polygamy. You can get to both of those, to the end of the road for both of those. You can get to monogamy, or you can get to an idealized polygyny by using that exact same logic. So if I go and I say, well, evolution is not honorable. Okay, well, if you go and you look at somebody who's like, and I hate to run him up the flagpole, but I'm going to do it anyways. You look at Dr. Jeff Miller. Right, he's very much in favor of polyamory, and Diana Fleischman is apparently cool with that too. And we can get to that same end using this exact same logic, sophistry, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. We can get to that same end. Well, human beings are jealous. If you can get over that, if you can find some way to eroticize your jealousy instinct, and which is particularly strong in men right now. You want to know why cuckold porn is such a big deal for guys right now? Because that's what we're doing. We're eroticizing that so we can get past that. So that because women want two things, right? They want alpha fucks and beta bucks. And if they've already got beta bucks, they're only looking for alpha fucks at that point. And so how do we get that? How does that woman, well, I don't want to be married, but, I still want to have babies, and I still want to have a husband, but he's not going to be as exciting as the alpha I used to have back in college. Well, guess what, ladies? There's this new thing, and it's called polyamory. And here's a great thing. You can have your husband, you're good providing your parental investment, provisioning, and protection. That guy can still be in your life. And then guess what? Because of poly, you can go out on Friday night whenever you're ovulating and go find a guy who's like the hot fucks in the foam cannon party. Here's your hall pass. It's like a constant hall pass. But he gets to do it too, even though women, on average, can ecologically optimize that much more proficiently than guys can. Because women are doing the selecting and men are doing the performing, generally speaking. Unless, of course, they're not supposed to be rivals and they're not supposed to be intrasexual competition. I can arrive at both of those ends, Brett. I can arrive at monogamy by saying evolution isn't honorable, and I can arrive at polygyny or promiscuity for damn sure by saying that it's also evolution is not honorable. Well, It doesn't suit my purpose that men are jealous or that men are interested in their own paternity. How do we get them uninterested? Well, we change their programming. We change the software. We tell them that it's honorable. You're insecure in your masculinity if you don't let your wife go out on a girls' night out and get banged by her bull. That right there, man. Oh, well, I wouldn't want to. I'm so secure in my masculinity that it's okay that my girlfriend can go get banged on a Saturday night. Who do I sound like right now? But that's the point. Evolution isn't honorable. Well, it's part of my evolutionary past or my innate nature as a guy to mate guard and to be jealous to the point of violence in most cases, actually. But I'm a bad person for feeling that. You shouldn't be jealous. Why are you so jealous? You're insecure in your masculinity. A real man will let his wife go get banged by another guy. Right? That's a social convention because evolution isn't honorable. And well, if you're jealous, you have the green monster. Well, that's envy. But like if you're jealous or you have any kind of notion for wanting mate guarding, well, then that's on you, man. You're just insecure. It's not your turn. It's just your turn, right? I mean, she's not yours. It's just your turn. So I can arrive at both of those, or I can say, you know what, we're evolving into monogamy, and it makes much better sense that we are, and maybe that's best practices, maybe that's proof of concept, because in some cultures where polygamy, one man, many women, let's just go with that, tend to be more war torn, because if you've got 4 wives, that means 3 other dudes don't have a wife, and they can't solve their reproductive problem. Well, they need to man up. Well, guess what? Less men than women will reproduce. That's a biological evolutionary reality and has been since we were living in hunter-gatherer tribes on the sub-Saharan African plains. Some guys got it, some guys didn't. Genghis Khan, he got it a lot. Powerful men are defined by resources, by territory, and by having a lot of access, exclusive confirmed access to women, harems, protected harems by eunuchs usually. Well, I can come to that conclusion and say, hey, that's a fantastic idea. Evolution's not honorable. And maybe you don't think that it is ecologically optimal. But if I'm the chief of the war chief of the tribe, and I've got like 10 girls in I'm the emperor of China, and I've got 100 women and concubines in my forbidden city. That sounds pretty goddamn optimal to me. That sounds pretty darn good. So there's that side. I can make the case for that, or I can make the case for something else. That's why the naturalistic fallacy needs to be something that's purged from your brain.
But we can understand that the advantages that caused monogamy to spread in recent evolutionary history are advantages that we should value, and therefore we should stabilize monogamy in humans. So those advantages include a reduction in violence,
Okay, so that's it. That was actually the end of that. So I don't want to harp on that too much. Let me see if I can catch up to the rest of you guys. What'd you say here? Nature only cares about 2 things: the continuation of life and the continuation of intelligence. It doesn't even care about intelligence. It only cares about passing. Organisms are basically vehicles for DNA. Go read The Ape That Understood the Universe. Again, I can't praise that book that much anymore. That's my book of the year, by the way. And I didn't really even make this connect. And again, this is theoretical, but organisms are essentially vehicles to pass on DNA, because if you think about it, the only thing that's going to be immortal about me or about you, it's going to be the alleles you pass on to the next generation. You want to know why jealousy and men are so concerned with paternity and mate guarding? Because the organism is a vehicle to pass on those genes. I mean, from a nuts and bolts perspective, is there more to being human? Yes, absolutely. However, everything that we do in as far as evolution is concerned is all about the babies, man. It's all about, when guys say, oh, there's more to life than sex. Well, yeah, but you got to be able to solve that reproductive problem. And until you do, you're probably going to be obsessed with it, or it's probably going to be a source of either depression for you or angst or whatever else. In fact, in some cases, and now here, let me praise Dr. Jeff Miller for a moment. When he was talking about how everything we do, from art to music to you name whatever, especially artistic stuff, but like whatever it is that we're doing, that is a behavior, it's a dance, it's a form of speech, what our society, whatever, is really just some loosely attached idea that goes back to the fact that we're intrasexually competing with one another. Now, is Brett correct about this? Yes, he's correct in the sense that, monogamous cultures tend to be a much more stable cultures. But that doesn't, here's where I take issue with that is when monogamy has been something, as far as a mating strategy is concerned, from within a patriarchal framework, has been a much more stabilizing strategy for reproduction, because what it does, at least it gives the guys who would in any other condition would not have a hope in hell of reproducing. I say, well, I can't reproduce because the emperor in the Forbidden City has 10, 20 women, and he's reproducing with them. And that means that there's 19 girls I ain't going to get with, right? Or whatever it is, that means I'm not going to have any access to them. Well, take that and scale that up into a meta scale. And now you've got guys, at least if you have monogamy, you say there's someone out there for anyone. Or for everyone, right? You got to find your one. You want to know where one-itis came from? You want to know where the soulmate myth came from? It started with women, let's just be honest, but like it filtered into men's kind of popular consciousness. It's a meme, really, right? There's a perfect soul out there, and you just got to find them somewhere out there. You'll write bad poetry and horrible 80s power ballads about this, right? Right? I got to find my one out there. She's waiting for me, right? The reason why that's mythology. That's technically, you could call it religion too, but it's certainly a popular meme mythology. The idea that there's only one person for the other person. When in fact, there's probably lots and lots of other people that you could be a quote unquote soulmate with. It's nice to feel special. It's nice to think that God preordained your wife or your girlfriend or whatever. We met star-crossed lovers across the, junior high school basketball court at the high school or the junior high dance. Was it Magic Under the Sea? Like it's a comforting fiction, right? To think that well, I'm with her and we're meant to be. Yeah. Well, what does that foster? What's the latent purpose, the latent function of that? People ask me this. What do you mean by latent function? Here's what I mean. That there's a practice that we have. It's a behavior, it's a practice, it's a belief that is ostensibly about like romantic, in this case, about romanticism. It can be other things too, but I'm using that as this illustration. It's this romantic ideal. And to think that there's a soulmate out there for you, again, first of all, it's very comforting because it means that, oh, there is somebody. I just have to find that person, right? Now, you open yourself up to exploitation by like, eHarmony and whoever's going to say, hey, we've got your one. Did you guys see that? It was on Netflix. It was called The One. And it was a science fiction kind of thing. It was almost like Black Mirror to an extent, but it's like we can scientifically determine who your soulmate is. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And you kind of have to suspend your disbelief, but it's an interesting show because it sort of covers all of the things or all of the dangers of the belief in the one, in the soulmate myth. But the soulmate myth is the vehicle. It's the meme. It's the belief set. It's the fantasy. It's the story that you read. But what's the moral of the story? What's the lesson of the story? Why does that exist in the first place? It exists because it promotes the idea of socially enforced monogamy. So the practice, the concept, the framework, the format of monogamy is reinforced if people can magically think that there is somebody out there for me. There's one person out there for me and I just got to find it. It gives you hope, right? You go, yes, I'm going to go and read Shakespeare. Romeo and Juliet. Like, look at any romantic comedy. Look at it. Look at really, you can go all the way back to Ovid, look at all the stuff that leads up to that. What's the function of that? What is the teaching? What is it teaching humanity? And it's not just Western cultures. Asian cultures have very similar stories. So what it's meant to do is to sort of promote the idea that you should one man, one woman, Adam and Eve, right? I don't know if there's somebody could probably come up with like another creation thing for me as well, but that's the ideal. It's like there's one perfect person and one perfect female and one perfect male. what does that do? It promotes the idea of monogamy. And, God bless him, but, Brett, sorry, but prior to agriculture, we lived in, hunter-gatherer societies. Women were spoils of war. Hell, even after agriculture. But that's what they were. One tribe comes in, kills off all the men folk. Hell, it's even in the Old Testament. Kill off all the men folk and all the boys, and save the reproductive age girls for yourself. What's the latent function of that? Breeding rights is like intersexual competition. You're damn right. That's what that's about. So you might have some belief as well. My God said that I should go in and kill off all the men and kill off all the boys and take the women and take the young women as my spoils of war. Yeah. Whether that's a Christian thing or a Jewish thing, or Odin told the Vikings to go and, rape and pillage. The effect's the same, man. I mean, the latent purpose is actually the same. So, however, I do want to sort of circle back. I'm going to circle back around. I'm going to do a Jen Psaki here. Let me come back to you. How could a single mom designed to be eco-optimum when she needs to secure protection and provisioning? Well, she's not. Particularly Walt. Particularly that's I see what you did there. Let me come back up here. But I will. I will. That's actually a pretty good quote. Let me put you back up there, Mr. Mosher. Mosher. It's a cool last. Is that your real last name? No, that's actually another good social convention, and today's going to be full of social conventions. By the way, the social convention is the idea that single moms are superheroes. What does that go against? Like prior to 1965, I mean, really prior to the 60s. A woman who had a child out of wedlock, a woman who was pregnant in her teenage years, she had to go put that kid up for adoption because it would either be a religious thing, would say, "Oh my gosh, you had sex out of wedlock," or it would bring shame on the family. Even in Islamic cultures, right? Imagine your daughter, you're a devout Muslim, and your daughter gets pregnant outside of wedlock. Holy crap! Right? Isn't that? Correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe that's the basis of some honor killings. I'm not really sure. But that was certainly the idea of honor killings is certainly a buffer against that behavior, against the idea that you're going to go out there and just sort of say, "Hey, I'm going to choose who I'm going to reproduce with." Again, I'm not making a judgment call here. I'm not making a value statement here. What I'm saying is that if you look at prearranged marriages, or if you look at the way things used to be prior to the sexual revolution, there was a lot of shame involved, and that had a function. That shame is the mechanics. It's the the proximate cause, but the ultimate cause is this. It was supposed to, in some way, inhibit, repress, have a stigma or whatever you want to call it against the idea of having children out of wedlock. But now we've completely reversed that. We've reversed that in really since 1970. Let's say 65. Right around the sexual revolution, summer of love, boomer generation, right about there. That's when single mommies went to thought mommies in the club. Single mommies went to being somewhat of a superhero. And what happens is once you put more and more women into positions of social and political power, they will enable their own sexual strategy to be the predominant one. So when we look at things like abortion, when we look at no-fault divorce, when we look at the lack of stigma, the zero stigma now for women who want to electively become pregnant through a donor. Today, you can just go do it online. But, really back in the 70s, you had to go to a sperm bank and you could fertility clinic and whatever else. Now you can just go online and find. There are actually, by the way, there are apps that will facilitate. Ladies, if you're looking to get have a baby with somebody, there are apps that you can get pregnant from a guy's. He'll give you a sample of his DNA. For $300, right? Hey, let's meet up, hang out, talk for a little bit, and you can decide if you want to have rollotomassi's next baby, right? No, you can't. And no, I'm not clipped, but you can't. Let's just put that out of your head right now. However, that stigma that used to exist is no longer there. Why is that? Why did it exist before 65, and now after like 1975, it doesn't exist, or it's on its way out anyways? Certainly out in 2021. Because we've entered into a gynocentric social order. We've entered a time where men have collectively given the keys to the castle that patriarchy built, that, if you want to call it androcentrism, I don't know if that's even a word, but a male built society has finally been handed over to women. And this is where we get the experiment. So I want to, let's go back again. So what you said here about, single mommies. Yeah, it's not ecologically, optimum, but we can try to make it ecologically optimum. So how would that be? Here's the latent purpose. I don't think I've ever even brought this up, but when I'm talking about, gotta get a new boom. When I'm talking about hypergamy, a lot of guys think that it's just this overblown thing. Oh, women are just going to leave you if they find a better dude. No, it's way, way more than that. It's much more than that, gentlemen. So when we talk about like single mommies, why is it that we want them to be superheroes? And why is it that we want to encourage, in usually beta men, the idea that being a stepdad is in some way ennobling? Well, that's a social convention that has the latent purpose of doing what? Optimizing women's sexual strategy. What is that? Alpha seed, beta need. If she's already reproduced with the alpha, or the guy that was good enough. Remember, women have birth control, unilaterally can control the birth if they want to. And even if they get pregnant through some complete fluke of accidental nature, right? 2% off, 1 or 2%. I don't even know what it is. However, if they still have safe and legal abortion, and they're happy to celebrate when a new country gets that right, that quote unquote right. Abortion is a fail-safe against bad reproductive choices, and men don't get a say in that because you don't have a uterus. That's the social convention. That's not evolution. That is the social convention that reinsures a fail-safe for women if they have bad reproductive choices. And I got pregnant. Well, it's just a clump of cells. Convince myself of that, and then flush it down the toilet. You have a right to do that, ladies. I have no right to tell you you can or you can't because I have a penis and you have a vagina. That's basically what it comes down to. So when that woman does have that kid, and she does, whether it's elective or whatever, when she has that child, now she needs the beta buck side. Well, there's two ways she can get that. She can either petition, get it from the guy who's, child support is number one, obviously. The other is this. She can simply wait until she gets a guy who's a beta bucks guy who has more money than the guy that she ended up reproducing with, and jump ship to him and have him fund the baby or take care. I mean, that is an evolutionary jackpot for women, to be able to breed with the alpha seed and to get the guy who is the beta bucks guy who believes, has a belief set that he honestly, genuinely is invested in, where he says, well, I'm a superhero. I'm a noble guy because I am putting off my paternity interests to take care of and put my resources into another man's child at the expense, figuratively anyways, at the expense of my own reproductive, cost. It's sunk cost is really what it is. And that right there goes against everything that is evolutionarily optimal, ecologically optimal, at least for the guy. It just depends on who gets to write the social framework. And in this case, it's women, and has been really since the late 1960s. And so what we've done is we've built this series of social conventions that has the latent function or latent purpose of reinforcing women's sexual strategy as the preeminent one, certainly the latter half of the 20th century, and now 21 years into the 21st century. That's where we're going with this today. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about where, women teaching men and men teaching women. It is women. It is gynocentrism that for the last 4 generations has been teaching men what should be correct and what shouldn't be correct, what is and what isn't. And that's how you get Brett Weinstein here talking about, what's ecologically optimal, and evolution is not honorable, and we can choose not to do these things. Well, that is a conflict. That's a contradiction as far as I'm concerned, because first of all, he's saying evolution has moved us in towards more monogamy. No, social conditions have pushed us more towards monogamy, and our belief sets and our memes and everything else. But we are essentially promiscuous by nature, and we are monogamous by choice, or polygamous by choice, depending on how it is. You go and you look at like Father Abraham and Sarah, and his 2 wives and God knows how many maidservants. That used to be cool. That was fine in the Old Testament. That was just the way shit got done, man. There wouldn't be any tribes of Israel if it wasn't for that. Again, I don't want to make this all about religion or anything. What did you say here? Armando, you need to forgive your mother. Okay. Well, why is that? Oh, here's Armando. I'm 40, a Catholic, Brazilian, and blue pill by my mother and church. I and my father viewed red pill as a sin, and he was even afraid to talk with me to avoid influencing his toxic masculinity on me. I'm starting to understand life now. Thanks. You're welcome, Armando. That's a really good illustration also of what boys being raised as defective girls. Don't want you to know this stuff. My joke is that I was in the introduction of my second book. I think I said that there was a guy who was reading my first book, The Rational Male, and his girlfriend picked it up. She started reading it. And then she says, rational male, let me see this. What male is rational? I still get that all the time. Hey, anyone who calls himself the rational male unironically. Yeah, you know where that comes from? That comes from your gynocentric training. That kind of scorn, that kind of, mocking, that comes from because you have been taught that men are just these, silly, stupid little boys. Maybe they are. Maybe some of them are because they have been brought up in a gynocentric social order in the first place. But the guy, so his girlfriend gets it and she reads it for half a week and comes back to him like on a Friday and throws it in his lap and says, everything in that book is true. And you shouldn't know any of it because they're threatened. Just like your mom, Armando, I guess, the Catholic Church, whatever. They're threatened by the idea that someone might have figured this out. Someone might have figured out that I'm not saying I've got the hacks. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we're asking the right questions. That's how you know when you get indignation and you get outrage, that's how you know you're asking the right questions. You're connecting the right dots, the dots that they don't want you to connect. What else is in here? Anybody else give me one? Tony Delama. Godfather, most of us have trouble finding one normal girlfriend. How can we ever opt for polygamy? Well, grow stronger. Be better. Find a way. How can we ever do it? I know that sounds like a cop-out, but it's not. It's not. Be better. Well, or you can just simply hope that there won't be any intrasexual competition for you anymore. We can talk about the 80-20 rule, which we did I did in the Jordan Peterson show last Wednesday. The 80-20 rule. Well, 80% of men are deemed unattractive by women. And it's not just one study, it's multiple studies. And the most recent of which I believe was 2019 or 2020. Hypergamy is a real thing, guys. It really is. 100% of women want to get with the top 20% of guys. It's pragmatism. Well, evolution is not honorable. There it is. That's not honorable, but it is what it is. And in a gynocentric social order, we go, of course, just get better. Just be something more than you are right now. Get into that top 20% or figure something out. Well, I can't find a really good girl. Well, it's because you're probably thinking what we will do is if we get into that position where we're in a sexual deficit is we'll find reasons why we'll try to make up rationales as to why we're not getting it. And that's real. The good news is that's really the starting point for unplugging from the matrix. That's really the starting point for unlearning the blue pill, which is your gynocentric conditioning that you were taught probably from the time, like Camille Paglia says, right? From the time you were a little boy, 5 years old, you were raised to be a defective girl. Congratulations. You're a grown adult man. You are a defective woman now. So you got to figure this stuff out. You're fighting back from a deficit at this point. So when we talk about honorable, this being honorable, that being honorable, I've got a bunch of really good things today. I'm going to throw a couple of other things here. Now, the first and foremost, I want to reinforce the idea here, or at least explain the idea here, that human beings, actually most animals in the animal kingdom, are promiscuous. This is a really great book. I even brought it out because I knew I was going to talk about it. This is Promiscuity, and it's by Dr. Tim Burkhead. All right. Evolutionary biologist, not psychologist, biologist. Okay. Most species are promiscuous. Most species on planet Earth in some way compete for reproductive access, because the best should get to the whatever, I don't want to say the best, but the most, the critter, say survival of the fittest, but it's really the best, the survival of the organism that can adapt the best to its current environment. What do female peacocks want? A peahen. What does a peahen want that a peacock has? You know what a female peacock is called? A peacunt? No. No, a peahen. She's pretty bland, but the peacock has a big, gigantic tail, which is also a evolutionary deficit to that male peacock, because it makes him more vulnerable to predations. It makes him more of a juicier target. He gets a lot of tail feathers to hang around and keep around with you. So what it is that it's really conspicuous consumption. There's parallels to this. Thank you, Dr. Godside. But there's parallels to that. Like it is you'd have to be a pretty badass peacock to have a big ass tail like that. And that's, at least in theory, that's the peacock theory. The more stuff I've got, the better I can show off. Means that I can afford this, and I will be better. I will be a better mate for you. And that goes back to sexy sons theory, which I'm not going to get into today. I really should probably just do a full thing on that. But anyways, in promiscuity, as far as the animal kingdom is concerned, promiscuity is really the norm. Monogamy is a rare exception. There are very few species that actually find a mate and mate for life, and that's it. There are some. No, don't get me wrong. There are some. Human beings are definitely not one of them. We tend to be more promiscuous. Well, Rollo, how can you possibly say that? It seems like it would be in the best interest of human beings to be monogamous. And it is once the baby is born. But prior to the baby being born, it is a much more pragmatic sexual strategy for men and women to be more promiscuous. Is that, again, this is not an ethical thing. This is not a judgment call, but it makes more sense to be promiscuous. It makes more sense for a woman to cuckold the beta bucks guy and reproduce with the alpha fucks guy, because she's got the best of both worlds, right? That's ecologically optimal, don't you think? I got the best genetic, benefits I can out of the hot guy in the foam cannon party. There it is. And I've got the best provisioning, protection, and parental investment benefits from the beta bucks guy, because he socially believes this stuff. So the latent purpose is she optimizes hypergamy. Congratulations. Today's lecture is over. No. So you've got those two things. It's not a question of what's right or what's wrong. It's like, what is the end result? What's the goal? What's the function there? So when it comes to promiscuity for guys, if they're in the top 20%, as I said before, men's innate sexual strategy is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, because if a guy can ejaculate and evacuate, that's a much more pragmatic use of his reproductive time, because the investment costs of a guy reproducing is far, far lower than any human female will be. And Brett talks about this too. That's fine. So, and I think I think Peterson even talked about that in last week's show. He was talking about, the investment costs. And I also said, you have to bring up the fact that, while that is definitely the case, it's not just about female vulnerability. It's also about long-term investment. It's also about the fact that human beings require big heads, right? We rely primarily on our intelligence. And that means that essentially all human babies are born somewhat premature. And I'm paraphrasing a chapter of my book right now, but if you think about like how human babies, infants are basically helpless. They have to be weaned. They have to have mama's milk, and they've got to be able to. Somebody has to protect them and make sure that they are, safe. Make sure that they are provided for, and it helps if the human male who whose investment cost is next to nothing compared to, it's just a little bit, small sample of DNA, is next to nothing for a woman who is the vulnerable sex. And so how do we get around that? Well, you condition into that guy, either in the firmware, or he may, in some cases, even the hardware, but in the firmware, but certainly the software, that it is honorable to protect women. It's the best. It's the best thing. It's the best thing in the world. You save her from the saber-toothed tiger. So women, when they need that security, because they are the vulnerable sex, they seek it in two places. They look for the guy who is the best able to provide, protect, and parentally invest. He's got to be somebody who's going to invest in his own child. So does that foment monogamy? In some ways, at least a temporary monogamy. It might be monogamy plus a few concubines on the side. It might be, I got 2 wives and I got 4 maidservants, and I can nail them if I want to, but they're not going to, I don't know if I want to recognize any children produced by my maidservants as my own, but from an evolutionary standpoint, from a DNA, like passing my genes on to the next leg, in my legacy, right, to the next generation, it seems like a pretty good deal for me. That seems ecologically optimal. But here we go. I wanted to put this one up here today. This is, oh man, you guys can't even see that. Oh hell. Let's see if I can get this. I have it right here. There we go. What this says is this. This is the partner count, female promiscuity over time. Partner count and this is for females. Okay. So if it's that bright green that you see on the end here, that's the lowest end. And then, the red is the highest end here. So, the bright green is virgin at marriage. If you can see that, I don't think you can. 1 premarital partner, 2 premarital partners, 3 premarital partners, 4 to 9 is the sort of like hot pink one. And then the red one right next to it is 10 plus premarital partners. Okay, so the 1970s, if we look at the majority here between, say, like 21 and 43% there, they are either virgin at marriage or they have 1 premarital partner all the way up. So you're looking at about 64% of women in the 70s didn't have more than 1 premarital partner. 16% had 2 premarital partners. 8% had 3. And 10% had only 4 to 9. There, you don't even get to the hot red one right there until really the 2000s. Now, if you look at 80s, you can see the distribution is different there. So again, it's going really from right to left. So you look at the 17% there in the 80s, 36, and you can look at the distribution right there. Okay. So why does this matter? We've talked about this a lot. I have some new resources here, and that's why I wanted to throw this one up here, is marital stability, happiness, and STDs. So if you look at marital stability and you look at the red lines here at the bottom there, that corresponds with the 10 plus premarital partners. And the percent of women in long-lasting marriages, percent of women reporting themselves as happy in their marriages, and percentage of women infected with STDs, as you can see. So when people say, well, it shouldn't matter what my partner count is. Okay. I've done full shows on that, by the way. It does matter. It matters, ladies, because of those stats, first of all. Second of all, it matters because men see you as a bad reproductive choice. And it's not because of society. It's not because of social constructionism. It's because on a fundamental, evolutionary, innate level, men are repelled. It's the revulsion response, are repelled by women who seem to be in some way kind of easy, or they already have kids. It's already confirmed. She's already had children. So therefore, if I get involved with her, she is a bad bet for my reproductive future, because now I've got to take care of some other schmuck's kid that she decided to breed with, plus hopefully my own, assuming she wants to have kids with me now and not just be invested in that one guy. I did a show. I wasn't a show. It was a part of a segment of a show where I talked about how women would name, and you guys probably heard this before, women would name their children after their alpha fuck's boyfriend. The hot guy that they had sex with, or the guy that maybe the child isn't actually his. It might be her husband's, but she names him Chad. because the guy that she met when she was so crazy in her college years, who really, rocked her boat, the alpha widow, that, the guy that made her an alpha widow, he was so significant in his impact with her that she says, you know what, honey, I think we're going to name the boy Chad because it's my uncle's name, or my great grandfather was called Chad. That's how you get stuff like it, because it's that instinct, right? It's that want for optimization, whether they have it or they don't. In some small way, they want that reminder of what they could have had, or what they're supposed to have had, right? The soulmate, the one that got away. Again, we're looking at social conventions that in some way promote either one sexual strategy, a male sexual strategy, or a female sexual strategy. In a gynocentric social order, it will always be a female strategy that is prioritized anyways. So that's number one. Number two was this. This is the 4 laws of behavioral genetics. Okay. Again, this goes back to what I was talking about when we were talking about latent purpose. First law is this. I'm just going to run through these really quick. And thank you, Steve Stewart Williams, for this. Laws. First law, all traits are partially heritable. Identical twins reared apart are more similar than fraternal twins reared apart, who are more similar than non-relatives reared apart. Law 2, the effect of the genes is larger than the effect of the shared environment. Brett, that's the one I wanted to get to here. By adulthood, identical twins reared together are little or no more similar than identical twins reared apart. Ditto, adopted siblings. Monogamy is not evolving. Human beings we evolve, okay? The practices are part of are part of mimetics for sure, but remember law 2, the effect of the genes is larger than the effect of the shared environment. Law 3, a lot of variance in behavioral traits isn't attributable to genes or the shared environment. Brett, identical twins reared together, shared genes plus shared environment aren't identical. And last, 4th law, most complex traits are shaped by many genes of small effect. There are no common genes that increase or decrease IQ by, say, 5 points. But there are hundreds or even thousands of genes that increase or decrease IQ by a tiny fraction of a point. So there you have that. I wanted to throw that one up there because it kind of, people always say, well, where's your proof? Where's your sources cited? I am way more practiced than a lot of people want to give me credit for. I can't make it entertaining. Like this is some boring ass shit. Okay. I mean, let's be honest. You want me to sit here and talk about this all day? Probably not, but I can refer to that and people will go, well, there's no sources cited. I'm out of here. And then I go and I put links in like the first comment of the comment thread after a video, and people like, yeah, suddenly everybody scatters. Nobody wants to have that conversation. All right, here we go. This is another great one because it goes back to what our good friend Brett and his wife Heather were talking about. This is, 2012? I forget. Human and Natural Sciences. I can't remember what it is. Table 1. Okay. The sex differences that suggest males are designed for combat in humans. So it's not just the environmental options or optimal environment. This is how we are. This is the machine. Here, we're going to talk about the machine here. Male humans have greater upper body strength, taller bodies, heavier bodies, higher basal metabolic rates, faster reaction times, thicker bones in the jaw, so you can take one to the chin, right? Faster mental rotation of spatial visualization, more accurate throwing, more accurate blocking of thrown objects, more interest in the practice of combat skills, stronger bones, greater bone density, specifically in the arms than women, easier heat dissipation, more hemoglobin in the blood, higher muscle to fat ratio, larger hearts, higher systolic blood pressure, broader shoulders enabling efficient weapon use, larger sweat capacity, larger circulation of blood volume, greater resistance to dehydration, tolerance for risk and dangerous activities, faster sensory frame shifting, thicker skin, you better, larger lung capacity, and greater use of physical and homicidal aggression. It's not environmentally, or excuse me, ecologically optimal. But that's what the machine looks like, Brett. That's the machine. That's this machine. You know, I don't micro-see. Oh, he's got soft shoulders now. Okay, here, look, see, I get to the gym. All right. Which way is the gym? Not the way. We have that. We should anyways. Yes, more guys are overweight. It's hard to tell now, isn't it? Right? Because so many guys are overweight or obese right now. I get it in the United States. But that, by and large, over the course of history, right up until we had a female primary social order, guys were in shape. Guys, that's what we are. We're, by and large, those are the differences. Those are physiological, biological differences between men and women. But we're gonna pretend that it would be better if guys would just man down a little bit, and just, we could all be monogamous and we could get along and be bonobos or whatever. So that's that. Here's another great one here. These, oh man, how awesome is this? These are sex differences in neuropsychiatric, neurological, and neurodegenerative conditions. Essentially, these are personality disorders, they're psychological disorders, let's just say, okay? So, I'm just going to run down a few of these that I think are interesting. Autism spectrum disorder, 4 to 5 times higher in males than in females. Conduct disorder, oppositional defiance disorder, 3 times higher in males than in females. ADHD, which of course is kind of controversial these days, 2 to 3 times higher in males than in females. Schizophrenia, 1.42 times higher in males than in females, which is odd to me because I would have thought it would be the other way around. Neurological development conditions, okay? Dyslexia and or reading impairment, 2 to 3 times higher in males than in females. Stuttering, 2.3 times higher, 2.3 times higher in males than in females. Tourette syndrome, my favorite, 3 to 4 times higher in males than in females. Adult depression, none before puberty, 2 times higher in females than in males post-puberty. Bipolar disorder, none for bipolar. Bipolar, 2 higher in females than in males. These are some things to keep in mind, guys, when you're out there in the dating market. Generalized anxiety, 2 times higher in females than in males. Panic disorder, 2.5 times higher in females than males. OCD, PTSD, 1.5 to 2 times higher in females than in males. Anorexia, clearly 3 times higher in females. Bulimia, 3 to 4 times higher in females. Alcoholism or substance abuse, higher in males than in females. Are all of those ecology, environment? Are they the result of an ignoble, unhonorable evolution? This is gosh, I was going to show this on Rule Zero yesterday, but this like floored me. I've never put this on any show before. Autism prevalence has increased 178% since 2000. And what did we just read? Autism high, much higher in what was it? I'll put it back up. But if you look at 1995 to 1999, and then from 2000 all the way up to where, well, this was 2016. It's probably higher now. But look at that incidence of autism from, where was it? 1970 all the way up to 1995, and then beyond that. Is it because, guys, it wasn't? It's like a lot of people want to say that it wasn't recognizable or something until then. That's some really crazy ass numbers right there. So keep that in mind. That's another thing. Is I'm a little sketchy about that, but that's interesting to me. Again, I'm not a scientist. I don't know all that much about, literal, clinical, really diagnosed autism. I know a lot about autism from guys who are just like, hey man, everything's got to be literal. Those guys, like, online autism is not this autism. Okay. Now, if we look at this, and now look at this demographic of long-term antidepressant use. Older white women account for 58% of adults who have used antidepressants for at least 5 years. From 2000 all the way up to, where was this? I believe this is 2018 or 2019. Somewhere around there. Pretty close to where we are right now. Look at that jump. What happened right around the year 2000. Well, I guess in this case it would be, well, yeah, it's year 2000, but also like 2002 all the way up to where, what, again, correlation is not causation, but what happened? The rise of the internet, this is just me spitballing here, but I think you're probably going to come to the same conclusion I'm going to, or at least that you're going to connect the same dots anyways. I don't say conclusion because it's not really a conclusion. So that's really interesting to me. Also, this is also very interesting to me here too. American Psychology. This is from 2018. Female grad students in psychology outnumber males by approximately 3-1, and have done so for more than a decade. And I won't read all these. I think I've actually read these stats to you guys before, but that right there should tell you where psychology is right now as well. So when we want to talk about Evo Psych, when we talk about Evo Bio, when we talk about all the things that sort of build up what we now kind of colloquially, anyways, let me get this right there, call the red pill or the manosphere. A lot of the stuff that the data anyways, that we're relying on is generated by women. Certainly in psychology anyways. It's funny to me because it seems to me like there's like, I know God Sod's he's one of my influences for sure when it comes to Evo Psych, but a lot of Evo Psych guys tend to be male, but there are Evo Psych women. And in fact, a lot of Evo Psych is actually driven primarily by women. It's just the one, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just like focusing on the guy side of things. I get, Marty Hazel, Dr. Marty Hazelton is also, she's got her thing going. So I wanted to throw that out there because the reason why I'm building this. Okay. We're building today's show. We're still building we're still building the show today, but we're going to talk about gynocentrism next, because that gets back to the idea that a female primary social order should be the correct way of thinking about things. And that's why when I showed you the Weinstein thing here, the optimal, what should be, wouldn't it be great if men could just man the hell down and not be so masculine? I don't have it. God, I wish I would have pulled this. I was just looking at another tweet from the APA, who have just decided that traditional masculinity is now a personality disorder. Literally, before it was kind of like, I think they were concerned about it, or was a general guideline, I think, for APA psychologists. Now in 2021, the clerisy, the clergy of psychology, have decided that traditional masculinity is now a birth defect. It's now a psychological disorder, because we're, again, as I showed you just a moment ago, we are now living in a gynocentric social order where, where'd it go? There it is. Where, the female grad students in psychology outnumber males by 3-1. So yeah, of course, traditional masculinity is a personality disorder. Who's writing the next DSM? What, version 8, 9? I know what one we're at right now. Who's writing that? Yeah. Odds are 3-1 odds are that it's women that are writing this, or men who agree and go along with that. So I saw a video not too long ago. I believe it was Peterson who was talking about this, that SJWs, so social justice warriors, tend to be female. And this is the political side of things here. When we talk about gynocentrism, this is the political side. So men, I think the claim was is that men are responsible for production and women are responsible for distribution. I believe that's the way he put it. And this coincides with what I've said on the show several times, is that when we live in an ideal patriarchy, that it's a meritocracy, ideally. I didn't say that it's certainly absolutely is not perfect, but in a meritocracy society where we have competition, does that not sound like in some way capitalist? Does that not sound like in some way competition, healthy competition, commercial competition? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. But to me, anyways, when men's our innate understanding of our place in the universe, our place on planet Earth, is based on competition and the burden of performance, from book 1, book 2, The Burden of Performance, because women choose and men perform. I don't care if you think that that's dancing monkey backflips or whatever the stupid shit is these days. Oh, you're just a dancing monkey. Well, guess what? It's in your DNA to dance, monkey. It's in your DNA to go ride wheelies down the street so Susie will pay attention to you. It's not something you learned. It's not something, no. Well, I'm above that. No, you're not. You're not above that any more than evolution isn't honorable. So however you decide to deal with that, that's up to you. You can try to change your software all you want, but your hardware and your firmware want to impress Susie by riding a wheelie down the street. But that's not a bad thing. Competition is not a bad thing. Rising to the top, being the peacock with the biggest tail, being the guy who has the most muscularity, being in the top 20% that gets selected for reproduction. It's not a bad thing. That's what led to the societies that we're in. I was at Pook that said this. Is that society and family society and I forget what it was. Civilization don't exist in spite of sex. They exist because of sex. They exist because of the machine, that our firmware and our software. And so when we're trying to make up rationales for why we fail or why we don't measure up, it's not so much whatever the rationales are. It's just the latent function. The real purpose behind that is you grow stronger, get better, build up. People always say Rollo doesn't really talk about like chasing excellence or anything like that. Okay, here it is. Grow stronger, get better. Here's the nuts and bolts version of that. Because if you don't reproduce. What Pook said this is like the gosh damn it. I'll put it out here real quick. I'm actually putting this quote in the book. Where did it go? Nope, not that one. Hang on. There's a Pook quote. There's a Pook. This is not my essay. Where did it go? There it is. This is the intro. This is the intro to book 5, by the way. The fulfillment of your own sexuality is nothing less than your battle for existence. And that is a quote directly from Pook. If you don't know who Pook is, go to SoSuave and you'll find out. SoSuave.net. There you have it. It is the struggle for your own existence. That's how important sex is, guys. That's why you want sex. That's why you need sex. That's why you want to solve your reproductive problems. That's why we fight. That's why we perform. That's why, even when we don't think that we're performing, that's why you're competitive. And you think, oh, I'm the most uncompetitive dude in the world. Yeah, until you start playing Call of Duty, until you get in whatever your favorite first-person shooter is. Yeah, then you're real competitive. When you start playing whatever your geek is, and hey, I got my own, you'll get competitive. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's really good. You know how you know that it's good? Because that competition actually will spike your testosterone when you win. They've done studies about like how guys will even celebrate when like the Raiders win. Hey, you'll get a testosterone spike because you have this sort of association with that. Victory spikes testosterone. And you know what? Women can see the outward manifestations of that, and they get hot for that. When I said that violence is the ultimate, it was the violence and like killing a competitor was the ultimate demonstration of high value in our ancestral past. Because when that guy has a victory, when your wife is like sexless and she doesn't want to have anything to do with you, and suddenly you are mugged and he hulks up and he kills that guy, or he beats back all the attackers and stuff like that. He goes home and his wife bangs the shit out of him. Suddenly she just has this irresistible, compulsion, uncontrollable lust to bang that guy. The machine and evolutionary firmware, really. That's where you get that. Now, we're going to move on here a little bit. Let me catch up. I got so many of that. I'm sorry. I'm Sammy, thanks for picking up all of these today. I got to circle back. Tobias, thank you for that one, my friend. That must have been a sticker. If I missed it, please let me know. Mosher, the Mosh. Rollo, interesting in that APA article, traditional masculinity as a disorder, when in 1973, the APA removed homosexuality as a psychological disorder. Imagine that. Imagine one of the first things that they do in a gynocentric social order is remove that. A lot of people will say, well, it's the Jews, it's the socioeconomic, it's this is the way they want it, it's the communists, it's a what. None of, you might even have a case. I'm out of my wheelhouse, but none of that works if the machine isn't what the machine is. None of that works if the evolutionary firmware isn't what it is. None of that works if men whose society was built on patriarchy for the last, certainly right up until the 20th century, midway through the 20th century, 1965. And none of that works unless the machine is what the machine is. None of that works unless evolution, whether it's honorable or it's not, doesn't give a rat's ass about ecological optimization. In fact, I will argue that it already is optimized. That's what it is. And anyone who is using a social convention, anyone who is using some, like, whatever your ideology is, whatever, and again, here, I'm going to slip out of, I'm going to break character here for a second. Whatever your ideology is, particularly with politics, right now I'm seeing in the news, like Australia and the lockdowns and this idea that we need to, we all got to be safe. And it's really all based on fear is what it turns out. Why is it so easy to intimidate? Why is it so easy to put that kind of fear? Why is it that women primarily are the ones on these damn TikTok videos going, you guys, I'm a nurse and I'm not going to treat any man who's unvaccinated. Why is it that it's so easy to create division in a now globalizing society, but certainly a Western society? Why is it so easy to sow that division amongst like us versus them with fear? Because we're at a point right now where gynocentrism is what it is, and it's easy to instill fear, and primarily in women, and men will go along with it. Because 80% of those guys say, well, if I don't agree with vaxing or masking or whatever the hell it is, if I don't agree with that, I'm probably going to be less likely to get laid, because there's women who are out there saying, hey, if you don't get vaxxed, no pussy for you. Hell, what was it that lady that was on the New York subway who was tearing down all of those OkCupid? I had the story here just a minute ago. All those OkCupid advertisings of big posters and all the backlets and all that other stuff that was on the New York subway. She goes in there and she's ripping this stuff down, and people are asking her why she's doing it. And she says, this is propaganda. And I believe she was Asian too. I don't know if she's Chinese or what she was, but she's pulling this stuff down. She says, kids shouldn't have to see this. This is nonsense. This is brainwashing you. And she's right, but it works because we live in a gynocentric social order, because we have prioritized egalitarianism and communitarianism over a meritocracy or a meritocratic patriarchy that we abandoned back in 1965 because free pussy. Now we've got free love, and we've got the sexual revolution, and we've got hormonal birth control, and now we've got no fault divorce, and now we've got and now we don't have any, and now marriage just plummets, and now we have this was just the start, Walt. You know where we're at right now? It's come full circle. We've got people on the New York subway pulling down these OkCupid ads that are just basically saying, it doesn't matter if you're a poly, it doesn't matter if you're a bear, it doesn't matter if you're whatever you let your freak flag fly, come over to OkCupid just as long as you got a mask on, and then everything's cool. Why is it so easy to instill that fear? Because it's very easy to play on women's insecurities, because they are the most vulnerable sex. I need protection. Oh, everybody, come on. And it gets back to that. What are we at? 130. It gets back to sneaky fucker mating strategy for beta males. They still default to that, right? If I can align myself and identify with the feminine, then women will want to bang me. The more like I am with women, the better off I'll be. The more expressive of my emotions, the more I get in touch with my female side. Well, because men are competitive, I'm going to get so in touch with my female side that I'm going to be a girl. Yeah, come on. How come they won't bang you? Because you're a girl. That's not how it works. That's not how the machine works. That's not how the firmware works. Your software is corrupted. Let's see. What else did I got here? What do you got? Sorry, I'm on fire today, guys. I apologize. I'll calm down. Late to the party. Dang it. Thank you, Rollo, for everything you do. You are welcome, channel 1800 dumb. And I'm gonna come back to these. I'm sorry. I got some other stuff. I got some other things I want to get to. Armando, I got to you. Ross Peralt, I didn't get Peralt, whatever. There is no competition anymore. We just trade turns. Yeah. And why is that? Because you live in a social order that says that that's okay. You shouldn't own a woman. If you have followed my Instagram, I forget what the name is. She's this Indian poet, and I mean Indian as, red dot Indian poet, and her name is Rupi or Rumi or something like that. I can't remember her last name or whatever. And again, no shade on my Indian brothers or anything like that. But this chick is like, she's a prime example of exactly what you're saying here, which is, it's not your turn. My body is not your house. If I have hairy legs, you shouldn't say anything about it. You shouldn't have any word about it. Well, there are at least 80% of guys will go, oh, yeah, you're right. No, but those horrible men, they shouldn't tell you when to shave your legs. You're a guest in her body. Go read my Instagram. You'll catch that whole thing. But guys wouldn't even presume to say, you know what? How about this? How about I don't want a woman who considers her body to be a guest house? How about that? Can we go with that? No, we wouldn't even dream of thinking that. Well, I will. rollotomassi will post that on Instagram. I got nothing to lose. But most guys won't, because they don't want to seem like they are out of touch or not on Team Woman. And if Team Woman says, hey, we're all getting the shot, you're probably going to get the shot because you want to identify with that. Regardless of whatever, you probably won't even come to the conclusion of actually critically thinking about whether or not you want to get vaxxed or not. Right? And again, that's out of my wheelhouse again. But if you wear a mask, if you want to get vaxxed or whatever that stuff is, the likelihood is that in a gynocentric social order, and you're a guy that aligns with that, and it's primarily women who are SJWs, and it's primarily women who are part of that kind of like communitarianism. Like, we're all going to be, what is it? We're going to distribute the wealth, and men are going to produce the wealth. Well, men have to produce that via a meritocracy. Women can't distribute what men produce if we're not living in a meritocracy, if we're not living by men's rules, if we're not living in a patriarchy that is based on the machine, that is based on the evolutionary, it's not whatever Brett's saying here. It's based on the nature of men. That economy, that money, all those things that women want to distribute and say, one for you, one for you, one for you. That's a one for you, that stuff, whatever she's distributing. A guy created that. A guy put that out there. That's a product of his work. In fact, to be a man in certain, just to be like a male, an invested male who's a good bet for paternity, right? Or for production, I should add another P, right? Production, provisioning, protection, and parental investment. That guy has to have something that is exceptional about him. And if he's a good long-term prospect for women, he's got to create more resources than he expends for himself, meaning there's leftover for her and there's leftover for the kids. And when women have a naturally innate communitarian psyche nature, here, one for you, we're going to distribute all this stuff, that what they're distributing is the product of a guy, is a product of a man. We talk about wealth distribution in the United States. Oh, we're going to get into what democratic socialism, whatever. Yeah. Who's creating that? Who is creating those resources? Men who have to perform. And part of that performance is creating more resources than they expend. That's all what conspicuous consumption is about. If I've got an iStep watch like Fresh, right? Or if I've got a Lambo, what does that say? What's the latent purpose of that? What's that say to not only my competitors, but also to any woman that I might potentially want to reproduce with? Now, I'm not saying I'm going to actually reproduce with them, but any woman that wants to have sex with me feels that, well, the latent purpose of that is reproduction. But what does that Lambo say? That's the peacock's tail. It means I'm such a badass that I can have this. I'm such a badass peacock that I got this bitchin', fan of feathers behind me. I'm a good bet for your future, baby. Because the likelihood is this, that your sons and maybe your daughters are going to be badass peacocks too. I'm a badass peacock. And if you mate with me, the likelihood is this, you're going to have badass peacocks and peahens if you do that. I have a Lambo. I got iced up watch. I have resources. I have more resources than I need. I'm a good bet for the future. I'm a good bet for parental investment, for protection, and for provisioning. Yeah. What is it from Aliens? Like, I am the ultimate badass. So anyways, where are we going from here? So that was, who was that? That was Ross Perot. Hux 222 says, considering how hypergamy works and how it does not care, I don't think any men should choose to be negatively affected by, e.g. women's monkey branching. Also, why book Sperm Wars is not talked about in TRP. Funny you should say that, because I'm about to post that up here just a minute. Sperm Wars is great. In fact, you know what? Let's get to that right now. When we were talking, like, Brett, I hope you're still watching this. I really, I believe we're almost an hour 40 in right now. Maybe you kind of tuned out. This is where you get the good shit here right now. Okay. One of the things that when we start talking about how monogamy should be that we're evolving more for monogamy. No, we're not. And one way I know how that is. Here's how. Let's put this up. This is a great one. Here's how you know the machine wasn't built for monogamy. Right there. Here's your Hux. Here's your, well, this is at least in part. This is from Sperm Wars. Human eggs prefer some men's sperm over others, research shows. And I have, let me put this up here. There you go. I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you want to, I will put the link in the description and you can check this out. Actually, you don't even need to do that. Just type in eggs prefer sperm. That's our, human eggs prefer some sperm in Google. You'll get dozens of returns just like this one. This was the best one that I found though. So human eggs are use chemical signals to attract sperm. Which sperm could they be? New research from Stockholm University, Manchester University, National Health System, I think, Foundation Trust, and blah, blah, blah. The University of Manchester shows that eggs use chemical signals to choose sperm. Different women's eggs attract different men's sperm and not necessarily their partners. Really? Wait. Well, this is just so good. This is really. There we go. Not necessarily their partners. Humans spend a lot of time and energy choosing their partner for monogamy. Wait. That's better. Start monkeying around with this. There we go. Spend a lot of time and energy choosing their partner. A new study by researchers from Stockholm University and Manchester, blah, 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 show that choosing your partner continues even after sex. Actually, choosing your partner happens before sex because that woman's body, the machine, is already prepped to do that. There has to have been some reason why some eggs prefer some sperm and others prefer another kind of sperm. Why? Why would that be? Possibly because human beings were promiscuous. Possibly because that's really where we're at, or that possibly because that's how women can optimize their ecology, right? They can optimize alpha seed and beta need. How awesome is that? Well, looks like the machine was already geared. Well, maybe God made it that way. Maybe evolution made it that way. I'll leave that up to your judgment call. But the fact of the matter remains that that's the machine. The researchers examined how sperm responds to follicular fluid, which surrounds eggs and contains sperm chemoattractants. The researchers wanted to find out if follicular fluids from different females attracted sperm from some males more than others. Microscopic mate choice. Follicular fluid from one female was better at attracting sperm from one male, while follicular fluid from another female was better at attracting sperm from a different one, Professor Fitzpatrick. This shows that interactions between human eggs and sperm depend on the specific identity of the women and the men involved. Oh, my Lord in heaven. What does that say about the ecologically optimal thing? Doesn't sound like monogamy has been evolved. We're finding that now in 2020 It doesn't sound like the evolutionary push towards monogamy has really been all that effective anyways. Why do we still have this? Isn't this a legacy? Is this a vestige of the way things used to be, Brett? No, it's not, because that's the machine. The machine is prepped for certainly for promiscuity for women. And for whatever reason, because I've used this data set before, and some people took me to task on this because they say, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that that women are cuckolding you, but no, it doesn't, because it's a possibility that women can have two different sperm in their uterus at the site of fertility. In fact, so much so that there was an evolutionary advantage for an egg to select between one sperm and another sperm. What does that say? That says that it happened often enough that there needed to be sort of an evolutionary contingency plan for that. So how does that fit into ecological? You're right. Evolution is not honorable. Most definitely not. So where do we go from there? But we're still taught that, women know best. She should be able to change her mind, right? Well, the woman's prerogative. She can change her mind. Women would never cuckold you. Well, they will, but they'll just do it, but in a more socially acceptable way. I hate that, man, because people keep saying, well, we don't, just because we have the DNA testing doesn't mean that women are like, that's their primary thing is to cuckold guys. No, because there used to be anyways, at least some social consequences for that in the past, for sure. But we have been, at least in our evolutionary past, been so promiscuous that multiple men's sperm would be at the fertility site in a woman's uterus or fallopian tubes or whatever it is. Wherever that, the sperm meets the egg. So there had to be a biological fail-safe for that. I don't want that sperm. Give me this one over here. This guy, I'll take that dude. Right? And again, it's not the partner. It's not the choice of the woman that actually decides that. It's the biology. It's the machine that's choosing that. So what that says to me anyways, I could say, well, cuckoldry is a strategic, sexual strategy, is a reproductive strategy for women. It's how they get the best of both worlds, right? Alpha seed and beta need. And even if alpha seed and beta seed are in the same place at the same time, right at the point of fertility. So, and again, I'm not saying it's the right thing or the wrong thing. I'm saying it is the thing. So that answers your question there, Mr. No, not Mosher. That was another dude. That was Hux. Ant-Man runs. Nice. All my siblings are half my age. My lineage had both parents until my grandparent or grandma, Boomer, who has probably triple-digit notch. Sounds kind of like promiscuity to me. Let's see. What else do I have in here? That's Ant-Man. Heavy Lift says, I like Rollo because he does not have a PhD. It makes it more credible since he's not brainwashed by the system. It's funny. I'll throw this back at you. I have a lot of guys who will get real academic with me. And this is a side note, but they'll get academic with me and they'll go, well, Rollo doesn't have a PhD. He's not have a doctorate. How dare I dared to actually opine something on a Jordan Peterson tweet recently. It was right after the Wednesday show. And God forbid. And that now suddenly, he's got a ponytail. Look at this guy. Look at it. Oh, he's got a strange beard. There's something wrong with him. Like it's all like ad homs and well, look at you, man. But you have no counter argument. I don't care what I look like. Can you counter what I just said? No, he's ugly. Or it's, he has no degree. He's got a bachelor's degree in behavioral psychology and an art degree and a BFA. I actually have a BFA too. How dare he speak of this stuff? Well, I've been doing this for 20 years, first and foremost. And second of all, it's like, well, what would you like me to do? Would you like me to go, oh, you know what? You're right. I should go spend another 4 to 8 years in college right now and spend God knows how much money at the universities you keep telling me not to go to in a major that you say is useless, which is psychology, right? To get a doctorate in that. And then I'll be then I'll be legitimate. Then I'll be valid. Then the stuff that I'm saying will be valid. That's crazy because for all the guys, the young men who are like you're purposeless and rudderless right now, and you're listening to these guys who are saying it's like university is useless, or Aaron Clary has his book Useless, right? Is that what it was? And it's worthless, and it's basically about how the university systems are basically diploma mills right now. Most people don't use their actual major or whatever whatever they graduated in their career, unless it's STEM career of some sorts. But yet, if I have the doctorate in psychology, you know what they just say? Well, you're just out of touch, old man. You're an old boomer. There'd be something else. So the fact is like, does what I say resonate? Are the dots I'm connecting correct? Because unless you cite your goddamn sources and come back at me with a counter argument, it doesn't matter whether I got a DR in front of my name or not. I'm professor. I actually used to teach community college back in the day. Technically, I am a professor. Chemo says it's not boring, Uncle. It's much appreciated. Thank you very much for that $4.99, my friend. Sarotini 0321. Come on, man. Let's get creative. I expect more from you guys with your names, man. Like, how about Dirk Diggler 69 24/7? I don't know. All right. So let's talk about how to protect yourself as a high value male. Here's the best way. Become a high value male. That's grow stronger. That's my new term. By the way, I pulled that from 13th Warrior. You got to go watch that movie. It's great. How do I protect myself from women who are trying to lock the male down? How to protect yourself when multiple females have you in their crosshairs? Well, if you're a high value male and you're red pill, guess what? You're at a distinct advantage. Where did this go? There it is. Hold on a second. You know what? We might as well just move over to this topic right now. How about this chick right here? Is she with a high value male? By the way, that is Meghan Markle, who is the wife of Harry Markle, and who's not a prince anymore. He renounced his princehood. So media, femme-centric media, please stop calling him Prince Harry. He's not Prince Harry. He's Harry Markle. So I put this up on Instagram not too long ago, and people go, "What's that? I don't understand what that is. A reference, please. Who is this? This is Meghan Markle. God damn it. How many times have I done a show about Meghan Markle? She's in the news all over the place." That little symbol there, that little charm is the feminist, what is it? The red salute. You know, the red salute. Where'd it go? Hold on a second. This is the red salute, right? Black Lives Matter, feminist lives matter, whatever matters. It always has a fist, right? Guys, let's think of something else. Really. Tim Pool, by the way, it's not my terms. Tim Pool calls it the red salute. I'm not really sure if it is or it's not, but what this is basically is it's a female sign, with the little mirror and the cross stuff and the little thing right there. And I said this is a religious symbol because it really is. It's a religious symbol of gynocentrism. Yay, go women. It's never been about equality. If you're a feminist, well, who's not, right? But if you identify as a feminist, welcome, ladies. But it was never about equality. So just give up the bullshit about equality. It was never about equality in the first place. It's always been about power. It's always been about replacing men. It's never been about egalitarian socialism. It's never been about equal partnerships. It's only about female empowerment, and always has been and always will be. It was from 1884 in Seneca Falls at the Convention of Feminism, whatever it was. It's been the same movement since then. You just have been able to realize it in the 21st century because we have the internet. That's why that, and we have hormonal birth control that has given you unlimited power. How do we know that? Well, let's read about gynocentrism today. Okay. Here we go. Subject, law. These are I'll let you guys read these. You can check those out. These are the differentials between different areas, subsectors of society, or as like who's working where, who's majoring in what. And you can see that differential right there. Even agriculture, right? 63 to 37. Gynocentrism is a dominant or exclusive focus on women in theory or practice, or to the advocacy of this. Anything can be considered gynocentric when it is concerned exclusively with a female or feminist point of view. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of this, but that's a really good. Actually, let me go down to the bottom here. It says there are more males than females in engineering, construction, manufacturing, computing, and computer sciences at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels. This is the study of gender at a glance prepared by the Irish University Association states, and it's summing it up. Okay, well, anyways. So people keep asking me about, like, what is gynocentrism? Who would use that term unironically? I don't think I've ever really put a definition of gynocentrism, because a lot of people want to run me up the flagpole for like what I have 2 chapters in my first book, and I know I coach White Pill and Douche Nozzle from Playing with Fire. They decided that those are some things that they want to throw back at me, right? Well, here's what I disagree with you about. Okay, well, you can't disagree with the fact that we live in a gynocentric social order. Simple as that. If you want to say, well, he's always talking about the feminine imperative. Yeah, because it was before we had a term for gynocentrism, but that's really what it's about. What advantages? Well, like right now, I think really last 3 generations, maybe 4 generations. You can go back to the boomer generation too, but it's so endemic in our social consciousness, the fabric of our society right now, that we don't even realize that it's there. So people say, well, I know men are in charge. No, they're not. There's a few men at the very tippy top of that, at the apex, right? The apex fallacy, at the top of that pyramid. And there's a whole lot of women after that. And then you know who's right below that? A whole lot, way more men are below that. And so it's not just women only focus on the guys making, big business deals on, that stereotype, making big business deals on the golf course. How dare they? We need more women in the Fortune 500. Well, there's a lot of really rich women. They just get their money through divorce and through inheritance. That's how they get it. Not because they're better at producing things. They make really great employees. Again, because of fear, and they want security. Women hate beta males, so much so that they will spend God knows how long in school and work soul-destroying jobs just to avoid getting with a guy that they don't want to breed with. So if I can produce, well, ladies, it's all pragmatism to me, right? You're doing you're just doing what comes natural. If everybody said, men are worthless, men are buffoons, men are borderline, abusers, men are incompetent, men are trash, right? Whatever, men are pigs, whatever. If you hear that over and over from the time Disney told you that when you're 5 years old and you get to be 25 or 30 years old, are you going to want to get with like just anyone but the highest, the best of the best, the high value man? Of course not, because you don't need a beta male for resources. Remember what we said? To be a real man, at least in the old days, prior to the sexual revolution, you had to be a guy who could produce more resources than you use. Well, now the impression since 1970-ish, when women need a man like a fish needs a bicycle, you still hear that today. Isn't it amazing that you still hear that? Same language. But if you've been taught that since the 1970s, if you've been taught that for pretty much all of your life, you're probably going to go, you know what? I can't rely on any guy. And if your dad's a son of a bitch, right, around the Father's Day or whatever, my dad left me. I got daddy issues. I went and had to be a stripper through college, whatever it is, whatever your rationale is about, your daddy issues are, you're probably going to think I need to, take care of myself. I need to provide for my own provisioning, protection, and for my own parental investment. Well, I'm going to freeze my eggs until I find Mr. Right. Well, guess what? You're not going to find Mr. Right, particularly if you're post 30 at this point. Most women have their first kid right around 29 to 30 right now, I believe. Maybe it's 28. I'm not sure. That's insanely late in life. Because in our evolutionary past, a woman who wasn't pregnant by the time she was like 16 or 18 was a rarity. Now, that's almost twice as long. So, and women are dumbfounded when they realize that their eggs are inviable, or don't give me the stupid empty egg carton thing, really, please. No, but women are far less likely or far less able to carry a pregnancy, actually to conceive and then to carry a pregnancy to term, every progressive year after the time they get to be about 31, probably even before that. No one tells them that because we don't want them to believe they can't be anything they don't want to be in a gynocentric social order. So yeah, Mr. White Pill, Mr. Whatever. Yeah, we're focusing on the female imperative because that's where we are. This entire show shows you where we are. I can give you example after example. I gave this example. Remember when Afghanistan fell? Was it Kabul? When Afghanistan, we finally got out of Afghanistan, what was the first thing you heard from female-led countries like New Zealand, for example, or hell, even in the United States? Mr. China, Mr. Xi Jinping, Mr. Putin, please, they don't go to Biden, right? Please, let's ensure that the women in Afghanistan are going to be taken care of and they're not going to be killed and they're not going to be put in burqas and they can still go to school. That was their primary concern. That is gynocentrism right there. Feminine imperative right there. The feminine reality right there. That the sisterhood of Borealis right there. What else? What do you got? Come on, give it to me. Come back and hit me with something, please. Because that's the most recent example I can give you. I can give you dozens and dozens of others, but that was an easy one. That was a gimme. The first thing. What about our girls? Remember when Boko Haram picked up I forget how many girls they got, like 100 and some odd girls. It was in Africa. Boko Haram was like this terrorist organization, Islamic terrorist organization, I guess. And they kidnapped so many girls. Did they ever get them back? I don't know, but I remember this was back in like 2014. And Michelle Obama jumped on board with a hashtag in this organization. We're going to start an organization. Give us back our girls. That was the whole thing. I think that was the title of it too. Now, Boko Haram has been using young boys at like 9 years old to 12 years old to be triggermen to go and shoot people, kidnapping them from villages and putting them into their sort of like kids army. But there was never any give us back our boys initiative. There was never any hashtag about like Boko Haram, give us back our boys. That was never, that never even made the headlines. Not that I saw. Maybe there was, but I didn't see it. It certainly wasn't as big and broad a stroke as give us back our girls. The NFL, just starting next month, is going to start wearing pink. Watch for it if you like football, American football. Look for that. All the pink shoes, pink headbands, pink gloves for when you catch the football. Everything's pink, 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 pink. Because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month is October. We have a whole month for that. We don't have a prostate cancer awareness month. Guys, like, was it No Fap November? Movember, we're supposed to like the guys are trying to do something. It's never been officially recognized. You're not going to see the Raiders put on like blue for Movember or whatever it is. That's not going to happen. They'll put on pink during October, but they won't do it for November. And more men die from prostate cancer than women die from breast cancer. There's your gynocentrism. Should we not? There's that crazy Rollo talking out of his ass. Where's his doctorate? Oh boy. Okay, so that was gynocentrism. We're going to talk about Elon Musk here in just a second, but I thought the whole thing about this was really, really interesting. If you haven't got my fourth book is Religion, The Rational Male Religion. I talk about exactly that. I was actually referring to that because Audible is. I have the fourth book is now on Audible. In case you didn't know that. In fact, let me put this. Where did I go? There you go. See, that's the book. I haven't used that overlay in a long time. Let me go back a little bit here. Let's see. I got to you. Late to the party. Yeah, you were. Smashing Random Key says, how much has the 19th Amendment affected our society? Quite a bit. Was it inevitable? Yes. Aristotle said masculine republics give way to feminine democracies. Yes, and I looked that up. By the way, it's paraphrased, but that actually is Aristotle, just so you guys know. What else is there? Tobias says, how to get woman to submit to you mentally. Grow stronger. A lot of girls are into me, flake on me, and when I tell them I want a traditional relationship. Well, let's see. Should I give you the TradCon advice? You just need to find the right girl. You're just choosing the wrong women. No, that doesn't satisfy. Okay, here's why. Because the women that you're looking at right now are by and large not interested in you either in the short term or the long term. Those are the two. That's the harsh answer that you're looking for. That's a slap in the face that you need. So there you go. Grow stronger, be better, get into that top 20%. If that's the only thing that's going to work for you, I just want a traditional relationship. I got to find my nice virgin bride. You got your work cut out for you, my friend. You know, the guys will say, chase excellence, forget about women. Okay, chase excellence. And how about this? Chase excellence and keep focusing on excellence and keep building yourself up, grow stronger, as I keep saying, but don't do that at the exclusive expense of not understanding women's nature. Because right now you're like, I don't understand why they don't want to get into me. Okay, because you're not an eligible bachelor. That's why your eligibility is. That's why. Let's see. Grow stronger, get better. What does that look like? I don't know. You're you, not me. Tribute to the Godfather. Thank you, Jesse, for that $5. Savant 88 says, why in the black community, why does peacocking seem so limited? I didn't think it's limited. The celebrity class is revered and championed by the business class. Well, why the business class is excluded? Because again, the peacock's. I said so. It's the peacock's feathers, right? It's called what is it? Conspicuous consumption. That's marketing, right? I don't even need God's thought for that. I love you, God, but it's conspicuous consumption, right? If I have nobody actually needs a Rolls Royce. No one actually needs an iced up watch, right? I don't even wear a watch, but I don't, why I don't wear a watch? Because I got a cell phone. If I want to know what time it is, I can find out. That watch says I got money, I got clout, I'm somebody. That's my peacock's tail. But that iced up watch fresh, man, that is a big ass fucking, you got a big ass peacock tail, my friend. That's what that is. That's why. And so why is that a big deal in the black community? I would argue this is because, women are black men especially have been sort of an underclass for a very long time and have been certainly discriminated against. I'm not going to, again, that's out of my wheelhouse, but it seems to me that when black men come into money, that's the first thing that they do is they get the big, they get the Lambo, they get the iced up watch. Like that's the first, like if I were to suddenly come into like $1 million, the last thing on my mind would be like, I'm going to get me this Gucci watch or Louis Vuitton. That'd be the last thing I would think of. I want to buy land. I would want to buy, a defensible space, right? I would want to buy, and maybe it's an age thing because I'm definitely older than Fresh, but like maybe it's not. I'm not going to buy I don't want a Land Rover, but I would like to have like a nice bug out truck or something like that in addition to a nice car, but I don't need a McLaren. I'm not, and again, maybe you do, maybe that's your thing. But the product of that or the latent purpose of that is that's a peacock's tail. I have resources beyond what I actually need. So much so I can buy this, McLaren. And is that status? Is that clout? You're goddamn right it is. See this guitar back there? You know how much that guitar costs? I put my money mostly into investment. I put it in crypto. I put it in investments. I try to be as smart with my money as I possibly can, but I buy the things that I like and the things that I want. This whole room here is filled with things that I'm like, yeah, I want that. I want that thing. I can afford that. That's about a $3,700 guitar. That's the most expensive guitar I have. It's a boutique guitar. Go look up OD Guitars. It's made by a luthier in Israel, as a matter of fact. A fantastic brand of guitars. But I'm not flexing on anybody. Like you guys probably have no clue that guitar is worth like even $3,000, right? You have no clue what how much is that one worth? How much is where's mine? I got my BC Rich here. It's probably about $2,000 guitar. But the Fishman's, yeah, it's probably about $2,000. You guys don't know that. I'm not trying to flex on you with my guitars, but if I have a iStep watch, yeah, maybe I'll flex on you. Should I? People, it's funny. I had a now we're towards the end of the show here, so I got some other thing. I do want to finish. I do have one final part to this, but I'm trying to catch up. But what was I doing? Oh, I was doing I think I was on Fresh and Fit, and I had my Punisher shirt on, right? And people were like, man, that's a great shirt. Where'd you get that Punisher shirt? And I'm like, Walmart. People were expecting me like some sort of like graphic tees thing. I was going to cost you like $50 to get this. It's not a concert shirt. I just picked up at Walmart. I thought it was cool. Armando, I got to you. Stocco Macias. Armando, you need to forgive your mother. Kalyameta. Tony DeLama, I got to you. Who else is in here? Mr. Mosher, I got to you. How could a single mom? Okay, now I'm hold on a second. I'm scrolling through these. Chemo. Okay, I got to you. Let's see. Sorry, I'm a one-man show. I got to Mr. Mosher again. Tobias, I got to you. Jesse, got to you. Thank you. ML, there we are. We must not forget that a woman can ovulate on command when they are very excited by their partner. I'd be interested to know what studies you have read that said that women can ovulate on command. I would love to. Please, if that's true, ML, please throw that one at me. Or were you being sarcastic? Probably. You're a big fan of the show, so it's probably true. Let's see, ML. Savant 88 says, why, Rollo, why in the black, okay, the black community got that. Bobby Sour Juice. Okay, that was a good one. You get an 8. Wait, you get this for that. Bobby Sour Juice. Thanks, Poppy. You're right. And Mommy and Poppy. I spent a lot of time in Orlando, my friend. I know exactly what you're talking about. Almost done with The Ape That Understood the Universe. It's a good read, isn't it? I had to go back on certain parts of it and actually highlight it. I have not done that for a long time. Since college. AI and ML. Thank you, Rollo. How do you explain the existence of happy families? Well, they're happy families, right? It was a good pairing. I would say this. Okay, so like a lot of guys will say, well, people are more like, we've been more sexually successful and reproductively successful than not. And I would agree with Brett in the sense that monogamy has been a balancing, buffer, stabilizing sexual strategy for humankind for a long time. And it's being destabilized right now. The bug in the system is not about evolution, preferring monogamy or whatever. Like right now, I think what the idea is that he sees this happening, and Brett, I would love to see I would love to see this. Maybe it's out there, but I would love to see a debate between Brett Weinstein and Dr. Jeff Miller about this would even be greater. You guys have to make this happen. Okay. Heather and Brett, and then Jeff and Diana Fleischman. Go look them up. I would love to have them get together and discuss the nuts and bolts, literally like the mechanics of polygamy versus monogamy. I'll facilitate that. I'll keep my mouth shut the whole time. Guys, I will, if you want to do a Zoom call, if you're watching this, if you want to do a Zoom call, you want to come on StreamYard or whatever, I'll facilitate it. I promise I'll just go like this the whole time. Promise. If you guys want to get together and talk about that, I would love to see that debate. I don't think it's going to happen because they both come to their conclusions because they're force-fitting whatever works for them, whether it's polyamory or it's monogamy, but they come to it by the same rationales. We're humans. We should rise above our evolution. We shouldn't be jealous. Therefore, we can be polyamorous. No, we are human beings. We should all be monogamous in spite of our promiscuity because we're evolving that way because evolution isn't honorable. It's not ecologically optimal. Okay, fight. That would be awesome. Oh man, I will do that. You guys, I'm here to help. I just work here. Savant. Okay, I got to you. And casual germ. Is that worth one? Should we give? We'll give you this one.
Stump that bitch.
There you go. That's what you get for casual germ. If you have a really cool name, I will give you a sound drop. How's that? Rollo, always delivering the facts with the sources. Thank you for what you do. Paying my tuition. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining the class today. Alexander Sosa Rodrigo. Hey, Rollo. Have you ever thought of interviewing James Randi about how easy people get to deceived and need to believe, aka soulmate one-itis? I think this can help guys on spotting a con artist. Oh, the amazing Randi. Are you talking about James Randi? The amazing Randi, right? That dude's dead, man. I would love to be like, maybe it's Halloween. I'll raise him from the dead. We'll have a seance and see if we can get the amazing Randi to explain all this stuff. If that was possible, I would love to. I think that's who you're talking about. James Randi? Yeah. Strategic prepper. Perfect example. Gynocentrism equals every media outlet running constantly about Gabby Petito. There's another example. Come on, guys. Playing with fire. White pill guys. Well, he's all talking about the female imperative all the time. How can I not? It's everywhere, man. It's unignorable. Yeah. Well, honestly, and here's what they'll say. Well, we need a distraction from more important stories like the Feds collapsing and the border crisis and whatever else. And you're right. But what do they choose to distract you with? Gabby Petito, right? We're going to talk about that. And that's hot right now because we're going to discuss abortion rights in Texas and Mississippi very, very soon in the United States Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS. Very, very soon. Wonder what we're going to have to distract us from that. Sam Whiskey, gentlemen, we can get better and stronger. Yes, we can. And faster. We can rebuild him. We have the technology. Buy land, grow food. But yeah. Channel 1800 Dumb. Again, hey, Rollo, Les Paul Gibson or a Fender Strat. I would take the Les Paul Gibson at this point. You like them? I like Les Paul Gibson or Gibson Les Pauls. Especially, let's see. If you're going to buy me a guitar, you can get me a, here's what you do. Give me a 70s Gibson, Les Paul Gibson Studio, like the black one with the gold hardware from the 70s. That you really want to make me happy. Yeah, pick up that. It's a collector's thing. I would probably play it too, but one of these days I'm going to do, you guys want me to do this? You want me to do like an Instagram reel or something and sort of go around my guitar collection? Cause that would probably take a good 20 minutes. Dylan Curry, most religious teachings were put in place to stop societal degradation. Yeah. Go read Religion, my friend. It will help you understand the progression of how you got to that opinion or that idea. We see in the mouse utopia experiment. Yes, and I'm familiar with that too. And we can see the same pattern through history. Thoughts, Rollo? Okay. Oh, God. So I'm going to give you a really, just because you were nice enough to give me, I don't know, is that 14 Australian dollars? So here's the deal. If you read my fourth book, which is The Rational Male Religion, I talk in there. I really should probably just do a full episode about that because I did one back in January when the print came out. I should probably do one now that the Audible's available. But in that book, I sort of outline what I think a lot of people have read about, or maybe they already know. But when we were living in tribal societies, when we were living in hunter-gatherer sort of collectives, let's just say tribes, right? No more than 50 to 150 people, and that would be large. We had a need for explanation for things that we didn't understand. Like, so everything was an earth spirit or a sky spirit or the thunder, right? Thunder, lightning, the sky spirit, this, and so everything was like sort of shamanistic, naturalistic kind of need for. That's how we got, like, thunder spirits and that kind of stuff. Everything was like the sun was a god, or the demon or the snake or the spider was evil because those were the things that could like bite the kids and poison them and kill them. Or the snake, you don't see the snake until it's too late and you're dead. Or the eyes in the forest, right? So the forest spirits, don't go out in the dark because the Black Panther that's out there will, eat you. So there's those old kind of like naturalistic, like nature religions. That when we got into bigger societies, we needed to personalize those and turn them into like archetypes that we are familiar to us now, really. So thunder and lightning became Thor. Or Zeus throws lightning bolts kind of thing, or there had to be like we get to like sort of a pantheon of gods, and so each individual thing that we needed in our life, we had to go to a certain god to say, oh, please give me fertility, Athena, or Aphrodite, I really need a hot piece of ass, or Ares, we're gonna go into war and we need to kick ass, so we're gonna pray to you. And it's like everything was like sort of divided up into whatever sort of specialization that those gods or goddesses were in charge of. And then we got even bigger and bigger and bigger. And then this is the theory anyways, is that we go to monotheism, which is kind of where we're at right now. Some people are saying we're going to get to pantheism, meaning like all is one kind of thing. Cosmic, and then there's like the larger the society, the more the need for an authoritarian singular, monotheistic god, versus like if you go and you look in Asian cultures, which are very prolific, then you're looking at like sort of nirvana, they still got Buddha and stuff like that, but they tend to be more like, accessible. Or you go and you look at Hinduism and there's like thousands of gods. That still kind of harkens back to I got to pray to the god that's going to help me get laid, help me make money, help me, with my animals. Some people want to say that the Catholic saints were actually sort of an extension of that too. Like Saint Francis had his little domain. They all had their little domains and stuff. But that's again, you guys can take that however you want to, but that's the theory anyhow. And I talk about that quite a bit in the 4th book, which you should go buy, now available on Audible. And I'm going to block webcam girls. Wait, you get this. Webcam girls, here you go.
Bye, Felicia.
You're out. Let's see. Sam Whiskey. Gentlemen, we can be better. Okay, I got to you. Dylan, I got to you. Charlie Brown. Well, no, you don't get anything. Life hack, double life. Settle down with traditional wife and kids in the Philippines for half the year and visit the family in Australia the other half. Did you ever watch? There's a great. I don't know how great it is, but there's a limited series on Netflix right now. It's called Clickbait. I kind of figured it out by the 4th episode. There's 8 episodes. So halfway through, I kind of figured it out. I didn't know who did it, but I knew what the plot was going to be by the 4th episode, and it was actually pretty well done. But it's there's this expectation that the guy, like it, I don't want to give away the plot if you haven't seen it, but there's in just the gist of it anyhow is there's a guy in there and he's dead, and he was the husband to a wife actually who was cheating on him, and he's dead, and it was really a case of catfishing, right? It was really a case of him having identity theft, and he ended up dying as a result of people thinking that he was somebody that he actually wasn't. And who they thought he was a serial philanderer, right? He's had a wife in one state, another here, and one in California, and one somewhere else. And people wanted desperately to believe. In fact, that's the whole really kind of gist of the movie, is like people who believe that he actually wasn't what they were making him out to be online, and what was convenient for him. Like, oh, he was really he just led a double life. He had a secret life, and that's why I like this movie, was because everyone wanted to believe that he was a son of a bitch, right? That he was a philanderer, that he was a cheater, that he was really a promiscuous guy who was spreading his seed more or less. And so we look down on guys who do that, but we don't look at, we give women a lot more leeway than we give men, and we always have, and we probably always will. It's about honorable, right? It's not, evolution's not honorable. Your idea of honor actually comes from patriarchy, Brett. Evolution's not honorable and it shouldn't be this way. We can rise above it. The only reason why you think that is because of patriarchy, because of a system where honor actually means something. That respectability. Remember the respect episode? It was only like 5 episodes ago. Respectability means something different to guys than it does for women. Women, it's just, again, it's that egalitarian one for you. Respect for you, respect for you, respect for you, respect for you. Men, what did you do that's respectable? Evolution is not honorable. Well, what's honorable is honor not respectability? I'm pretty sure it is. The reason why you think that is because of patriarchy, because of ecological suboptimalism, I guess. Sam Whiskey got to you. Dylan got to you. Charlie Brown got to you. ML 1985 medical school course embryology. All right. Thank you. Random, but thank you. Great episode. Cheers. LXUAEs. Come on, man. Give me something better than that. How do you feel about hypergamy in relation to the gender dynamics in the Middle East? Okay, so I got this from I think it was Craig from Abu American, and people asked me this, and I had some guys like saying, "Oh, Rollo doesn't know anything about Islam." He just like they thought, "Oh, here's what it was." I remember I did that breakdown video of what's that? Ruslan KD, and he had Hasif from the roommates. I hope I'm saying Hasif. Anyways, he was going to talk about like Islam and the Muslims, and the difference in like sexual market value, and how I think the idea is that people think I skipped over, the part about Islam and all that other stuff that was going on in that interview. And I didn't do that on purpose. I did that. Well, I did do it on purpose because I wanted to move on to what I thought were the more salient parts, because I've talked about Islam. I have a whole dedicated show about the red pill in Islam with Craig from Abu American. And he was actually, he's acknowledged in the back of the book. He's of the 4th book. He helped me out quite a bit in understanding sort of the intersexual dynamics of Islam. And I had Rabbi Kaba, who is an actual Jewish rabbi, help me define and sort of figure things out for the Jewish side of things when I was doing that book as well. So I put a lot of energy and effort into understanding this stuff. But one conclusion I came across all religions was that women are basically assimilating. The gynocentric social order is assimilating old school, old order, certainly 20th century religions right now, and have been for a long time. Certainly since the sexual revolution, more so now because they're more efficient at it. Why are men? I tried to get on Ruslan's show, or I was making some comments on his show when he was talking about, Kevin Samuels was talking about how men need to get back to the church. They need to get back in church. I'm like, wow, that's real convenient, Kev. Right after the 4th book hits Audible, right after I start talking to Ruslan, and I start doing a breakdown video of him and Hasif or Hafiz, whatever his name is, dude from the roommates. Suddenly now you're going to talk about black men in the black church and how they need to get back to church and how they need to wife up the single mommies in church or whatever. Like, I would love to have that conversation. I will have that conversation any day you want. I would love to have a conversation with Ruslan, with Kevin Samuels, myself, and the dude from the roommates. Let's do it. Let's do it. I will take all of you to school. All of you. I have a book right now that I spent 3 years of my life researching and putting together sources cited. Let's do it. Let's go. You want to talk about that? I am more than happy to talk about that right now, because that's what I've been saying really since 2012, when Dalrock and I were bouncing ideas off of each other. So you want to talk about like men in the church, and you want to talk about how men are fleeing the church and have been doing so for really a decade, probably more than a decade right now. Ruslan is a big fan of Mark Driscoll. Mark Driscoll is a cuck, Ruslan, a full up cuck. you know what he sees? He sees that, okay, maybe to his credit, he says, hey, we need to sort of, butch up the church a little bit. We need some men in here and stuff. And he's trying to say, yeah, I remember when MMA fighting was a big deal for the church. I just blew me away. I wrote about that in my fourth book, by the way. There was a time back in the early 2000s when it was called King of the Cage. It wasn't even MMA or whatever. It's called King of the Cage. I know because I used to promote those shows in Vegas and in Reno. And churches were outraged. The only state in the nation that you could do ultimate fight, King of the Cage, was Nevada at that time. And people were like, this is a blood sport. This is horrible. This is, we're all going downhill, blah, 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 degeneracy. And churches absolutely hated it. Now they want those guys in the church so they can give their testimony and their witness so that they can get more dudes in the church. It's Christian kosher. Suddenly being an MMA fighter, as long as you have a witness and you're like a Christian guy doing it for the Lord or something like that, then it's all good. It's not a blood sport anymore. It's, whatever. I would be happy to have that conversation. As far as the Muslim side of things, people don't, I have to really be careful about this. I try not to be, but I'm sensitive in the sense that I don't want to like step on anybody's toes ideologically. I do the same thing for Christians or Jews as well. But when I see young ladies in Saudi Arabia or Iraq or in what are at least, identified as Muslim countries, and they're on TikTok and they're taking off the hijab and they're dancing around and they're, flaunting the system, the theocracy of the country that they live in on TikTok or on their Instagram or whatever else, or I see the evidence of the gynocentric social order sort of, finding its way in and assimilating the intersexual dynamics, let's just say, of that particular religion or the social dynamics of that country that is like ruled over by that religion. When I see that happening, I try to point that out. And what happens is this, and it doesn't matter if you're Mormon, it doesn't matter if it's Islam, it doesn't matter if you're Christian. Like I've said this, like Christianity is easy because Christianity has been assimilated by the feminine imperative, has been assimilated by female interests for so long, it's almost impossible not to find something or to give you an example of that. Most recent example is like, ordaining, female pastors in, Lutheran church or the Presbyterian church or Episcopalian church. And of course, what happens then is I can't say anything. You get to the no true Scotsman argument, right? Well, they're not real Christians, so case closed. There's nothing I can do about that, right? If I say, well, here's evidence of women flaunting, traditional Islam in Saudi Arabia or wherever, well, she's not a real Muslim. That's halal. She's not a real Muslim. Case closed. I can't argue against God. If that's, you say, well, those Christians, that's not real Christianity. They're not the Orthodox Christianity of Eastern Conference of 1823. And that's when we had the schism. And therefore the people who are on one side of the schism, they're the real church. And then the other side, they're the heretics. And so, well, what are you going to do? Case closed. They're not real. Well, the examples are there. The examples are still valid. Just whether or not you want to accept that or whether you want to see that as sort of a evidence of a greater movement or a bigger generality, that's on you. But most guys, especially believers, don't want to have that conversation. They just want to say, well, she's not a real Christian. She's not a real Democrat. She's not a real Republican. She's not a real whatever. He's not a real. You can do that with damn near anything. So I can do that telling blue in the face, but it doesn't mean shit to anybody. I'm not going to change anybody's mind with it. Least of all Ruslan, least of all people who are invested. Well, maybe not Ruslan, least of all Kevin Samuels. Like, I'm not going to tell him anything. Like, I'm not going to explain to him and say, look, this has been going on for ages. And the reason why men don't want to be in the church is because it's actively hostile to them and has been for a long time. It's not about singles groups. It's not about men taking more responsibility. They simply don't want to be there because there's church, or that what one of the most personal things and certainly in a human being's life, in a man's life, is like dealing with your own existence, talking to God, right? And you want me to go to a church where women want to be the go-between, want to be the mediator between me and God? This was a chapter, by the way, in my fourth book, and I didn't intend to talk about this. I'm sorry. I'm going to get back on topic here in a second, but I said that. I said, if mama ain't happy, God ain't happy. And that's really where we're at. If you don't please women, if you're not doing something to make women happier or their lives easier or solve their problems or perform adequately, I remember burden of performance. What happens in a religious perspective is women go, this guy needs to perform. And if he doesn't, he's not, and I'm not happy with him, it means God's not happy with him because I'm perfect. I'm sinless. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't want to have sex with him. So it must be something he's doing, and he needs to work that. He needs to deal with God. He needs to sort that out with God. So what you're doing, ladies, is when religious ladies, is when you do that, you become a Pharisee, right? You become a go-between between him and God. I'm not happy. I don't want to fuck him. Okay. Well, it must be something wrong. He must be addicted to porn. Whether he is or isn't is irrelevant. It's immaterial to the point that women set themselves up between themselves and God. I had an illustration where it was like, it used to be back in it's interesting how this worked out prior to the sexual revolution. God, this is great stuff. Prior to the sexual revolution, it used to be, in a patriarchal sense, it used to be God, man, women, children, and babies, or children and puppies, right? Whatever else. And there is this umbrella, right? At the top is God, and then there's the man, and he takes care of, he protects the woman, and he provides, and he does this, and he also, everything under his umbrella is like the children and the puppies and the house and everything. Like, he's got to be the one who's taking care of business, right? And then for women, it's like, okay, well, she's underneath the husband, and her umbrella is the kids and the home and all that kind of stuff. So it's sort of this classical, traditional hierarchy of power, if you want to call it that. But like at the top of the heap is God. Now, fast forward to 1965. Let's just say the 80s. Okay. Now it's God, woman, with all of this other stuff, and she's got to provide for her own protection, her own provisioning, because men are absolutely not trustworthy enough to put any trust. You trust in God, but don't trust in any man. Screw that guy. You never know. You got to save him from himself, girl. And because you've been fed this constant gynocentrism that promotes the idea that that's what women have to do. And then below her is not the guy, it's the kids. The kids are next. The children are next under that umbrella. And so now those children, whatever works best for the children, remember the cult of the child. Cult of the child can be defined by this. It's people. Well, everybody. People will make children their ideological human shields. If a kid can see what my ideology is, if it's that simple, then it must be right. It must be correct. And if you are against that ideology, or whatever my belief set is, or gun control, or whatever your pet ideology is, and the kids are against gun control, then you must be against the kids. That's the cult of the child. I talked about that with Pat Campbell a long time ago. But they're the next, hood of the umbrella. And then the man is below that. And all he has to do is produce. Remember, men are responsible for production. Women are responsible for the distribution. So you have to, that's a perfect example of zero authority and 100% responsibility. The authority, even the kids have more authority in that structure, have more authority than the man. The man is still beholden to the kids. If the kids want to go to soccer, well, daddy better come up with the money to get soccer lessons or piano lessons or buy honey a pony. That's how it works. And if you're not, you're a bad dad. Oh, I'm a bad dad. I get her a pony. I got to work harder. and if that's the case, then mama ain't happy. And if mama ain't happy, she's not putting out. And if she's not putting out, it must be something wrong between you and God. That's a real mind job. I mentioned that in book 4. Richard, thank you. I liked your icon, so I put it up there. And is that it? I think there's one more. Let's keep going. And Scutum Chibuum, you get, what should we give you? Here, we'll give you this.
Where are the Cheetos?
That's for you. Is there any way to convince my mother to learn about the red pill? Convince her? My brother is turning five soon, and I hope for him to be a natural. Dude, you will be better off like demonstrate, don't explicate. Giving your mom my book or trying to introduce her to the red pill is silly for a 5-year-old. It's better that you demonstrate rather than explicate. And and then the other thing is this: always remember why. Ask yourself this question: why do I want to explain the red pill to her in the first place, rather than demonstrate it in your life and your lifestyle? Why? I think that's a better thing to look at. Would you say Pat Campbell, Rollo, attend church on Father's Day and Mother's Day? Remember that one? Yes, I do. Every Father's Day. International Father's Day, November 19th. I think that's Men's Day, isn't it? International Women's Entrepreneur Day, November 19th. World Toilet Day, November 19th. All right. My dogs are freaking out. Why are you freaking out, guys? Okay, and I think that was good. All right, I want to tie this all up with a nice little bow here because we're at the 2:40 mark. I didn't want to go too long today, but I do have some other things I wanted to throw on here. Yes, okay, I'll put this up. Did you guys see this? Did you guys see the tax the rich thing with Andrea Ocasio-Cortez? Andrea Ocasio-Cortez is an interesting, in fact, we'll just end it with this. I think this is a pretty good ending for today. This was her at the Met Gala, and she wore this dress, and it said tax the rich on the back. And it's just, I saw the comparisons to the Hunger Games and the Capitol couture, right? And the styles that the aristocracy in the Hunger Games used to wear. And yeah, you're right. You are correct. But there's a bigger lesson to learn here, and I'm going to show you a couple other things. So this was her literally 1 week before this, when she was crying over funding the Israeli Iron Dome. Now, I don't care what your views are on Israel or the Iron Dome or funding them or anything else. This is coquetry at its meta scale right here. So literally a week before, this is her. And a week after, I even labeled these AOC happy, AOC sad. Now people say, well, it's all an act. She's just a freak job, blah, blah, blah. She's acting. Remember when she was at the chain link fence? I had some of those. I figured that was a little too over the top. She's like, crying at an empty fence because there's other people taking pictures behind her showing it was all bullshit, right? But that's, and again, people are going to make this a political thing. I love her. Absolutely love her, because she's the best example of this gynocentric, on a meta scale, this gynocentric, psychotic degree of how dedicated we are to the gynocentric social order. And that's why you're teaching women, right? That's what women are teaching. She in the same way that Meghan Markle is the poster girl for beta bucks. AOC, happy AOC versus sad AOC. She is a perfect example of guys on a big scale, on a huge scale, men who want to make the bitch happy. Right? Remember when, what was it? Chris Rock, gotta get out there and make this bitch happy, And I think that a lot of guys get kind of trapped in that idea that they can make the girl happy. Like her happiness is your responsibility. And mostly beta men take this to heart, because the gynocentric social order has taught them this for a long time. Again, a perfect example, right? If mama ain't happy, God ain't happy. Well, I got to make her happy, because if she was happy, then God will be happy with me. Boy, that's a mind job, right? But the whole thing is this, is you're never going to make AOC happy. This is happy AOC. This is sad AOC. That is exactly what I would expect from a borderline personality disordered woman, or certainly a narcissistic personality disordered woman. Speaking of which, bang, there's one for you right there. Oh, we want our privacy. They're on the cover of Time magazine. You don't want your privacy. It's all bullshit. Just like AOC is all bullshit too. But she's bullshit in a different way. AOC is, in any other sense, she is the highest earning OnlyFans girl on planet Earth. She is such an OnlyFans girl. She doesn't need OnlyFans. She doesn't even need that as a platform, because she does exactly what every other girl on OnlyFans does. She has simps. Because what do they do? Like if I made her happy. Here, AOC, make it rain. Here's more money. Here, I'm going to tip you. Pay attention to me. Oh, sad AOC. Oh, here, have some more money. Maybe this will make you happy. So that's what she is. She is an OnlyFans girl. And that's a really good definition of where we're at right now in a gynocentric social order. On a meta scale, on a political scale, we're going to take her seriously. We're going to say, oh yeah, she's legit. She's for real. Why do guys get into OnlyFans? I answered this question on Fresh and Fit. Why are guys so concerned with OnlyFans? Can't they jerk off for free on Pornhub? Yeah, they can. But why? Because they get locked in to that doom cycle, right? They get locked in to that self-perpetuating negative feedback loop, or in some cases it could be positive feedback loop. And that's what you want to do. That's conditioning. That is social. That is like classic conditioning, operant conditioning. Make her happy. Oh, okay. Well, if I make her happy and I give her all the things that she wants, then she'll be happy. You will never make a woman happy, gentlemen. You want to break the first lesson you need to learn when you unplug from the matrix, or if you're trying to, or if you're like, what's this red pill stuff? Understand this, like start here. You will never make a woman happy. Her happiness is not your responsibility. But you know what? A lot of people who love her think that it is. Oh, she's crying. Oh, we got to get behind her. Oh, she's happy. Haha. It doesn't matter. We'll make up any excuse and any rationale to explain why she did what she did. Oh, it's okay. Haha. She's AOC. She's funny. Haha. She's an idiot. She should in no way be in the position that she's in. But we're going to pretend and we're going to invest in the idea that she should be. That's what it is. Webcam girls. See here, look, you speak of the devil and they pop up. Somebody here. Wait a minute. There you go. Bye, Felicia. There you go. Bye, Felicia. She should in no way be where she's at. And I think anyone with two brain cells to rub together can probably figure that out. She has no idea what she's doing. She's just mouthing the words at this point. But when we see pictures like, where's that one? There you go. We see pictures like this. Oh, how can I make Sweetie happy? Because if I don't make Sweetie happy, then God ain't happy. Or in this case, it not just have to be God, but it has to be, I've got to be on board with everybody else. When you're an OnlyFans guy, you're in the chat room with hundreds of other dudes. You're in the chat room with all these guys who are trying to make Sweetie happy. And you're in the strip club, man. You're trying to make it rain all the time, so she'll come pay attention to you. She'll give you a lap dance. AOC is not going to give you a lap dance, sorry. But it's the same formula and it plays on the same idea. We think the things that we do because we have no other frame of reference. You want to know why the red pill, here, I'm going to end with this today, guys. You want to know why the red pill is so threatening is because it is based on new order information. It's based on empirical data that is easily had. You just have to want to do the work to go find it. People go, oh, Rollo, I got super chats today saying, coming with the sources cited. Yeah, I try to be as thorough as I can. Spent 3 years on book 4 doing exactly that. I hope you guys like it. Because I put a shit ton of work into that. But I didn't do anything you couldn't do. I found those, most of the sources, well, actually, probably 90% of the sources that are in book 4, I found online and I read and I just took the time to do it. It's not like you had to go and like get a degree in it. There ain't no degree for the red pill. So any of you asshats are like, oh, you need to go get a doctorate in clinical psychology for me to want to take you seriously. Fuck you. There's your fuck you for today. We're at the end. because there ain't no major for the red pill. There ain't no certification for the red. We talked about that yesterday on Rule Zero. There's no certification for it. Oh, he's only had 4 booty calls. How many do I need, man? When do I get the booty call certification so I can talk about it? What college class do I have to? Oh, damn it! I missed the booty call class. Red pill major. No. There's a lot of things. You could say, well, you could take evolutionary psychology, yeah, and have you guys go, well, it's a pseudoscience. Well, let me tell you what. The shit that I talk about on this show or on any other show or write in my book, it's stuff that it's not that you can't find this. It's not that it's difficult information. It's there. Prior to the internet, you might have had a case. You might have said, okay, well, you have to go spend all this time in the college library and get an encyclopedia and and even then you only got to focus on one area. And it's really tough. So if Rollo knows a lot about evolution and he knows a lot about neurosciences and brain synapses and ovum selecting sperm. He must be a spermologist or something. No, I'm not. I play one on the internet, but I do my homework. I put in the energy. How do I get the girls? How do I get better? How do I do the work, man? I know that sounds like Rich Cooper, but grow stronger. It's not hard. It's right here. You want to learn how to hang drywall. You can do that on YouTube. You don't have to get a degree in construction science or whatever. You can go figure out how to do those things. I had a friend, my friend Ray actually was laying concrete in this, and he was like renovating his house, and he was like, it's a piece of shit house, but it's like beautiful now. And he wanted to put heaters, like little heating coils in the bathroom because it's pretty cold where he was at. And so, sometimes cold feet when it gets up in the morning, right? And you just turn it on and it heats the tiles, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Who knows how to do that? So go online, figure out how to do it. And that's what he did. Put the heating coils underneath those tiles, lay the tiles in, learn how to cut the tiles, put them all down there, and bam. What's your excuse, man? That's just tiles and heating coil in the bathroom because he's a wuss. What did you say? Oh yeah, Jada Smith. Yeah, I was thinking about doing a full show on that, but do I need to? I think my other one still stands pretty well. Yeah, he can't make her happy. He's not going to. Remember what she said? I put this on my Instagram. I should have put the thing out there. Is on my Instagram, I put the picture of her with her bald head, and she's 50 years old, and somebody was doing maybe it was Vanity Fair or something like that. Some major, maybe it was I don't know. Oh no, it was Jezebel. Was it Jezebel or Huffington Post? One of those feminist things. And they're saying on her bucket list before she dies, she wants to learn how to love. Imagine you're Will Smith and she's been banging guys on the side, and she still can't get over Tupac and whatever. She still can't get over. I want to learn how to love. How? If you are Will Smith, like Will, dude, if you watch you probably don't, but if you watch this show, dude, I will happily give you a copy of my book. And yes, let's see, what else do I have here? Did I put? Oh, this is great. This goes back to what we were talking about. Somebody wanted me to talk about Elon Musk, so I will. Oh, and thanks, PP. You get Don DeMarco. Thanks for the $100, my friend. Elon Musk says this is great. Pronouns suck. Okay, that was pretty funny. And then Grimes right afterwards is like, I love you, but please turn off your phone. You give me a call. I cannot support hate. Please stop this. I know this isn't in your heart. You think that was a catalyst that broke them up? When they got married, or they didn't even marry, when they got together at like 3 years ago, and they have a kid, by the way, so they may as well be, or effectively they're married. Maybe he's not going to be paying alimony, but he's going to definitely be paying something for a very long time now that he's splitting up with Grimes. And does he have more money than God and he can afford stuff like this? Yeah. But I'll tell you what, man, you could be a rich dude and be blue pill and spend a shit ton of money, or you could be a rich dude and you could be red pill and you could save your money, or at least you can say you knew better. Elon, I have offered this several times. I've done full videos about this. If you want me to meet you at the Sparks Gigafactory, which is right here in Sparks, Nevada, I know exactly where it is. I could drive there in 15 minutes. I can be at the Gigafactory in 15 minutes if I drive fast. And I can give you a hand-delivered, signed copy of The Rational Male. And that book, I'll give it to you for free to you, but for whatever, what's it now? $11.99, I think is what they upped it to. I sell it for as low as I possibly can because I want people to have the information. But tell you what, $12 is a hell of a lot less than whatever the fuck you're going to pay Grimes. I guarantee that. I can guarantee. I'm pretty confident in that. So, who else? Last but not least, yeah, Will Smith is doomed. Oh, wait, no, I can get to you. There you are, Walt. Official certification and licensure means you have demonstrate acceptable knowledge of the state-approved dogma. Well, yeah. But see, that's not even the point, though, Mosh. The point is, like, the fact that people want to rely. I'm not going to do that, and I don't care to do that. Again, there's no major for the red pill. What am I going to do? Hey, sit down with the counselor at the UNR over here and go, okay, hey, I want to get my master's degree and then a doctorate. But I want to major in red pill. Be like, okay, well, what do you want to learn, right? Well, I want to learn hypergamy 101. I want to learn alpha widow. I want to make sure that I got my shit together. Do you have those classes? Then do I get my certification for that? The same guys who will swear up and down about how SJWs want to cancel you, how they'll dox you, how they fight dirty, and here's how Fox Day wrote a book called SJWs Always Lie. Go pick up that book. It's a fantastic book. But they'll scream up and down and say, oh, we're afraid they're going to dox us. We're afraid they're going to do this. Oh, they're going to protest us and shut us down. But yet they're the first people that will use exactly those tactics when they don't want you. They hate your guts. I don't care if you're conservative. I don't care if you're liberal. I don't care if you're leftist, rightist. I don't care if you're in the manosphere or you're feminist. I don't care whatever you are. You'll use whatever is available, whatever means are available for you to attack your enemy. You will go and you will use those things. And one of the things that they will say is this: you don't have a doctorate, so why should anyone listen to you? Disqualify, disqualify, disqualify. You don't get the booty call certification. No, yeah, okay. First of all, where would I get that? And then second of all, wouldn't I need to go to a university that you guys keep saying are worthless and are full of communist women? And that if I go in as rollotomassi looking like this, that I'll come out looking like rollotomassi with, like, a villain from Batman, right? Or maybe they'll brainwash me into being some communist, and I'll be completely changed because take your kids out of school. So what is it? Should I go and get my doctorate in psychology and clinical psychology, and then I'm okay. Then I'm cool. That'll be enough. But isn't that the same place you told me that I shouldn't go? That a young man, don't go to college because they'll turn you into a communist. Ladies, don't go to college because you'll turn out to be a lesbian feminist when you walk out the door. You'll be talking about universal basic income when you come out. You probably will. But aren't I supposed to go there? That's how else am I going to get a degree? Where am I going to get the red pill degree? I don't know. Anyways, okay, guys, this has been fun. Thank you for watching. I will be doing my Wednesday show on Wednesday. Surprise. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I have a couple of ideas of what I want to hit on, but let's see. What else have I got going on? By the way, not this week, but the week after, I will be in a secret location with Sterling Cooper and Justin Jay Waller. All three of us will be together. We'll probably do some live streams, I'm pretty sure. I'm not going to give away the location just yet, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I think you guys are going to dig it. Lucas Bay, been listening to your newest book. Question: marriage. How soon should I tell an LTR that I'm not planning to get married? Would this ever work for women? I don't know. Kind of depends on your situation with that chick. First of all, some guys will say, hey, you just got to be upfront with her and just tell her, hey man, I'm not going to be married with you, blah, blah, blah. And most guys are kind of hesitant. The reason you're hesitant is because you think that if you do that and she says, oh, there's no chance of us ever being something permanent, that she's going to stop fucking you and the plate's going to fall off. I don't know how old you are. How old did you say you were? Did you say you were old? I don't know. Marriage, how soon should I tell a girl that I'm not planning it? Well, I think really it needs to come up as if it comes up at all, then you're casual about it. You'll get, you know what, Lucas, here, this is the easier way for me to explain this to you. I have an essay. It's called The Talk. And usually women will get to the point where they'll be like, oh, we need to have a talk, right? Or it's the talk about where is this going? That's what the talk is about. Where is this going? Are we official? Are we a thing? Because I need to know if we're a thing. I'm not going to put you on my Instagram until we're a thing, until we can be Facebook official. That's the talk. When you get to that point, that's when you have to say that. In fact, that's my answer. When you get to the talk and she says, hey, where are we going? What am I to you? When you get to the talk, that's when you say that. Let her come to that talk, by the way, too. Don't you go and do that. And that's the point at which you might have to say, well, do I want her as a plate or do I not want her as a plate? As I said in plate theory long, long ago, way back 3,000 years ago, Gandalf, I mentioned this. I said some plates are just simply going to fall off because they don't see it going anywhere, or maybe they're just in a casual sex, whatever. Maybe they just sort of see you as a fling, whatever. It always behooves you to date non-exclusively as it is, because the longer you sort of like figure out that if you figured out that it doesn't matter what the chick is or who the chick is, and you're not going to commit to that, then okay. Most guys will say, you got to be upfront with her. Yeah. Beta guys who are in the 80%, they're the ones that will try to convince you to do that. Judging by your AV, you probably don't have to worry about that. So go read, it's called The Talk. It's on therationalmale.com and it's called The Talk. Just put that in the search engine and you'll find it. God, that was a good one too. I like that. All right, my friends. I'll give you a couple of updates here. Like I said, I'll be with Sterling Cooper and Jay Waller next week. No, it won't be in Miami. So that's coming up. And what else do I got going on? So that won't affect this show because we're there during the weekdays. And let's see, I will definitely be hosting. If you didn't see Rule Zero, it's on Paul Benjamin's channel, which is Apex Mindset. Go look that up. Check that out. It was actually a very good discussion. We had a full panel, which surprised me. I will, however, be hosting on this channel on Saturday. I know I said I was, but like we're trying to give it off to guys like, the extended Rule Zero family and let them host a little bit. And, because they've been like, Paul's been part of the family for a long time. I want John Fitch to do it too. We already gave it to Aaron Clary and he did so well that we're scared he's going to take over the show. So he doesn't get it anymore. So anyways, I'll see you guys later. And thanks for watching. Again, Audible version of Religion is out now. Go get it. And if you have not purchased the actual first book, get it now too. It's available in all formats. Check that out. Tell your friends about it. And what else? What was the last thing I was supposed to say? I'm going to remember it as soon as I click off. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you later.